The Sabres back in action tonight, continuing their Western road trip in San Jose, taking on the Sharks. Puck drop set for 10 o'clock. Per our own Paul Hamilton, the Sabres did not practice in San Jose yesterday, so we'll find out more on how Alex Tuch is at the morning skate. Former Bills defensive end A.J. Epinesa signing a one-year deal worth up to $5 million with the Cleveland Browns. And around the NFL, ESPN's Kevin Seifert reports the NFL is, quote, laying the groundwork for hiring replacement officials for the 2026 season. The Colts signed wide receiver Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, formerly of the Dolphins. In Eagles, they've acquired quarterback Andy Dalton from the Panthers in exchange for a 7th-round pick. The Panthers also signed A.J. Dillon, formerly of the Eagles, to a one-year deal. The NCAA tournament officially gets underway today around the country in Buffalo, all with estimated start time. Session 1, you'll see number 6 Louisville take on number 11 South Florida at 1:30 to start things off. Number 3 Michigan State takes on number 14 North Dakota State. Following that around 4:05. And then session 2 begins after that with the 1 seed Michigan taking on 16 seed Howard at 7:10, and following that, the 8 seed Georgia takes on number 9 seed St. Louis around 9:45. The Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Joe Cali on Western New York's Voice of the Fans, WGR.
I feel like after hearing that open, I want to point this way and say, "What's that, Joe?" Southwest, like
that way is. Well, behind me is west.
All right, maybe he does know.
So that's got to be east.
Maybe
like northeast, I think.
Sure. Yeah, it's difficult. Like I'm on a different plane. Is
southeast? That would be southeast.
Southeast. Good. All right, well, I got it. 1 for 1.
I'm pretty sure. We don't have a compass in here to confirm.
You would think.
Oh, he does.
Oh, wow. Owen pulls up the compass.
He
app.
had it
Was
open.
He correct?
He's got it. It's
got
southeast on
Whoa.
as southeast. It's due southeast.
Wow.
Southeast. It's incredible.
Southeast.
All right.
Take me traveling, camping. If you need, you look up in the sky and just know.
You didn't even have to look in the sky. You're in a room.
No,
Yeah, right.
we're in a room.
Right.
Yeah.
That's even more impressive.
That's impressive.
It's really not that hard though. Just your mind clicks into, okay, wait, where's Lake Erie? Oh, well, I came from that way, and Lake Erie is that way. Yeah. So if that's Lake Erie, then southeast has got to be there.
But once you're along Lake Erie, that changes, because Lake Erie can be north of you or west of you or north and west of you. If you're on the coast of Lake Erie, you're in Dunkirk.
Yeah, but I'm not near. I know I'm not near anywhere where I could be south of Lake Erie.
Fair. This is the same thing I do when I'm in Colorado. You're driving in Colorado, Denver, Colorado Springs. Like the mountains are west. Everything else is easy to figure out.
Right.
All right.
The skill is being able to put myself on a map in my own head and see where that is.
The real question is the NESW. What is the phrase you use to remember it? Do you do that?
No.
When you learned in school, north, northeast, southwest, is there a order or how did you do it? What was yours?
Never eat shredded wheat.
Okay. Mine was never eat salty waffles.
I've also heard never eat sour watermelon was another one that I've heard.
Is it always never eat?
Maybe.
Yeah. It's an easy one. Never eat sour watermelon. Okay, never heard that. Never eat salty waffles. The other one's
soggy waffles.
Soggy waffles, yeah.
Soggy waffles.
Mine's always never eat salty waffles. Mm-hmm. It's one of those things you learn in school, and I'll use that once a week. I'm like, okay, West. Kind of like when you're running through the alphabet and you're trying to find alphabetical order, and you're trying to figure out where L is. You're like ABC.
Do the song really quick.
Sure. Yeah. Just sing through it. Anyway, good morning, everybody. Jeremy and Joe, happy Thursday. Tournament starts today. That's exciting. We've got Brian Koziol. He'll come on at 8 o'clock this morning. He's going to be down at the tournament pretty much the whole time. So at 8, we'll talk with Brian about the Sabres Western Conference swing and the tournament. He has signed up to go to these games and I think do Sabres postgame tonight. So the late session tonight in Buffalo is 9:45.
9:45. There's a sporting event in Buffalo that's tip-off is at 9:45. Yeah, I've got tickets to that thing. I got to figure out what I want to do.
Wow.
Because if you want to go to the late session, like the 1 versus 16 is the early game, but that's like a 30-point spread of a game. Maybe you get something you'll never forget, an upset. But like the good game, the 8-9 game, the most competitive game, I should say, that's expected is at 9:45 tonight.
Yeah, and that is tonight. 9:45 is
St. Louis and Georgia, I believe, is tonight at 9:45.
Okay.
Sabres start at 10. So shouldn't they have it up on the jumbotron? By the way, or would that be impossible because people would react to the game?
It'd be rude. Like there's a game happening in front of you. We're showing you another game on the jumbotron.
Yeah.
That seems...
It's their arena. But no, you wouldn't do that.
They could do split screen.
Yeah.
You know, it's a big jumbotron.
But yeah, not 9:45, which means the game's going to end around midnight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Sabres game starts at 10.
Yes.
Which will end around 12:30, 12:45.
Yes.
So a late night. If you want to watch the Sabres game, I think it's a good plan to go to that 9:45 game. Although the 9:45 game, the other thing about that is if the game before it goes a little long, that gets pushed.
That's possible.
That thing could tip at 10:07.
Yeah, because the first game of the late session, Michigan and Howard, really though they're all kind of close together, but Michigan and Howard are at 7:10. 7:10 to 9:45. You should be good, right? 2 hours and 35 minutes. They would never start early though, I don't think.
Sal's going to be at Hartman's Distilling today for the Northtown Automotive Extra Point Show ahead of the tournament. Tournament gets started 12:15. Ohio State and TCU is the very, very first game in the entire tournament. And the first game in Buffalo is South Florida and Louisville, which that goes off at about 1:30 today. So 12:15 till probably past 12 a.m. or midnight. So 12 hours of basketball. And, you get your playing games. Did you see the clip of Charles Barkley and Dick Vitale, or were you watching when they were calling a game together?
No,
in the play around?
I saw Awful Announcing tweeting about it.
Yes.
What happened?
It was the two of them talking about NIL and the mid-majors and all the problems with college basketball for a good 3 minutes during play. And eventually when it's over, Dick Vitale says, guys, we got a game going on here. Yes, I went back and watched the clip. I was not watching that game live, but it was a talk show about the problems with college basketball during a game. It's like Texas hoists up a 3. Barkley's like, and I'll tell you another thing. It's just it was wild. So TCU, Ohio State. No Syracuse. And the South Florida coach has turned down the Syracuse job.
Yeah, he doesn't. No interest.
Go Louisville. That's what we do, right? If somebody ever tells you they don't want to be part of your family, you tell them to buzz off.
Doesn't his being local offset that?
No.
Nope. It doesn't neutralize itself. He's from here.
Okay.
So that gives him points to begin with.
From here-ish. Which direction is he from,
more
Joe?
Ish than
what direction is he from? South?
South. He's from South.
Okay.
I mean, he's more from here-ish than Alex Tuck is, right?
Sure. And if Alex Tuck left,
or is that not right?
Wouldn't people be mad and say, "Screw you! You don't want to be a part of this"?
Yeah.
That's how this works. How do we feel about Colton Parayko? Oh, you don't want to be a part of our family?
But that guy's got no ties here. That guy's got no connection here.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, Brian Elford doesn't have any ties to. Brian Hudson.
He's born in Olean, went to Jamestown High School, Fredonia.
Sure, he didn't turn down the Bonnie's job. He's from there, that area.
Yeah.
So he turned down the Syracuse job. So
he also was at UB for 5 years when they had their best run.
Go Louisville.
All right.
I'm gonna have a jersey by the time this game starts.
I'm in on South Florida.
It's fine. I'm not that mad about it.
Providence is the team he's considering with South Florida. Is
right.
that are you in a bad spot when you're losing out to Providence?
Probably.
They're a good basketball school, right?
The problem you run into, here we go, on Charles Barkley. A job is only as good as the NIL money you're going to get, right?
Yeah.
If you're not going to get enough, it's not a good enough job. And I don't know the state of Syracuse for that. The tournament for me is about, this is, Bills fans, you've got all your demons, right? The NCAA tournament is a time when, if you're a big college basketball fan, your demons revisit you. This is a family reunion of all the times you've lost and the teams you've lost to and the horrific games. I see Ohio State is the very first game. Of course, Syracuse lost a game in the tournament to Ohio State. It was the worst officiated game of all time. I'm not mad about it. It's fine. It happens. You name a school, and I'll tell you if the Syracuse has played them and lost to them. Vermont, they lost a game to Vermont. Vermont was a 13 seed. They lost that game with, what's his name? TJ Sorrentine. And there was another guy there as well. They got a technical foul called for dunking and hanging on the rim too long. I'm not still mad about it. It's fine. It's fine. They lost the game to Michigan State in Auburn Hills. The year Michigan State wins the national title, I believe.
Right.
They were up 17 and lost by 18. I'm not mad about it. It's fine. It's it happened.
Are you still carrying that around enough to root against these teams like this tournament? Like, will you root against Michigan State this tournament?
No, not really. If there's any team I would root against, it would have been UConn for a long time, but they're too good now. Like, everybody roots against UConn. I hated UConn when they were in the Big East with Syracuse.
Right.
Khalid El-Amin and Richard Hamilton. For me, a lot of the tournament is remember some guys. You know how we do that for, like, Football Friday? Just remembering all these players over the years and remember some guys and teams that I had my heart broken against. Syracuse lost to Arkansas. They accidentally called a timeout when they didn't have any, kind of like Chris Webber did. Lucius Jackson, I think, called that timeout for Syracuse. Lost to Arkansas. Happens, you know? Anyway, they're not in the tournament.
Now you don't have all
That's
these
right.
stress. They're not in the tournament.
They've lost in the tournament.
They can't hurt you.
They lost to Duke. They lost to North Carolina. They lost to, they lost to Richmond. They were the first 2-15.
Richmond.
They were the first 2-15 loss.
Yikes.
Yeah. The Richmond Spiders, a 2 seed against a 15, the first 2 seed to lose, Syracuse. Every time they were a 1 seed, I was beside myself with panic that they were going to be the first 1 seed to lose, and they almost were against North Carolina A&T, maybe?
North Carolina A&T.
I forget who it was. They won by like 3, and everyone was mad and thought the game was rigged, that there was a bad call. They're a 1 seed, and they barely win 1 year.
Wasn't last year a year with, like, no upsets? Wasn't that the story last year?
That's part of what the Charles Barkley, Dick Vitale conversation was, it's getting to be fewer and fewer upsets. The mid-majors, the smaller schools, they can't compete because if you have a good player, they're going to leave for a major school for money. And that's how it works.
All right. Even the 5s were beating the 12s last year.
Right.
That's usually the upset that everybody in the world will pick in their bracket.
Yeah.
Everyone will pick the 12s to beat the 5s.
Historically, you get a lot of that.
Yeah.
And it's expected to happen a lot less. So, whatever, we'll have fun with it. The bracket's still going. There's games.
It could be a
all
one-off
day.
too. You could I think I know the NIL stuff, but you could have a team upset one of those top teams still. Like the talent gap was always large. It's not like when Lehigh beat Duke. Lehigh was more talented than Duke was as a 15 seed.
For a while there, what you had was that the mid-majors would have guys for 4 years and would have, finger quotes here, real teams, and the big schools would have one-and-dones. And you would try to find that to be punitive. I'd have freshman one-and-dones against a senior backcourt with Lehigh or whoever the team would have been.
Yeah.
And that's where, all right, I got guys that have been in this tournament, that have been in these big spots. They're going to come together as a team and knock somebody off. So, is that still the case? Not really. What's the chances you make year 4 at a mid-major and not just go somewhere for $150,000 or whatever it is to go to a major school? So, yeah. In the chat, Dayton. That's right. They lost to Dayton. John Scott brings that up to me every third time I talk to John Scott.
The Dayton beat Syracuse once?
Yes. It's
in the tournament?
Yes.
Who hasn't beaten Syracuse?
Well,
it sounds like.
Who hasn't beaten Syracuse in the tournament? UB. It's not a shot at UB. It's just I'm pretty positive they haven't. Canisius hasn't. Niagara hasn't. That's all I know. 803-0550.
You did have an 11 seed make the Final Four 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's impossible. Right?
Syracuse?
And NC State did it.
Oh,
didn't
NC
they?
State. Yeah.
2 years ago?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
It can happen.
If you were to do the Family Feud style, name a Cinderella.
Oh.
Top 5 answers on the board. Name a Cinderella that took a run. The number 1 answer I think is easy.
Loyola Chicago.
Oh, no. Okay.
Oh. George Mason.
I think George Mason is the
Mason.
most They made the Final Four, right?
Yeah, but I think so did Loyola Chicago,
Okay.
and that was more recent, which is why that came to my mind.
I think George Mason.
Those are probably the top two, though.
Yeah.
Because they made it the furthest. What was George Mason as a seed? Were they an 11?
I think they were an 11.
That's what Loyola Chicago was.
And-
Sister Jean. Florida Gulf Coast comes to mind for me. They were a 15 seed that won twice.
They were Dunk U. What were they?
Dunk City.
Dunk
I think.
City. Dunk City.
The dunks they pulled out were unbelievable. They were. I think they beat. Who was the 2 they beat? Maybe Georgetown was a 2 the year they beat them.
What did Dunk City beat?
I think it was Georgetown, and they were throwing alley-oops in the second half against Georgetown. It's like, are they going to do this? They're going to do alley-oop.
Yeah, it was Georgetown.
Oh, Florida Gulf Coast. That was a riot.
The 7th.
That might be my favorite one because they were just dunking all over your face as they were upsetting you.
This was 13 years ago.
Wow, that's.
You feel old for the first time in your life.
I might feel old for the first time in my life. That was 13 years ago.
13 years ago, yeah.
Jeez.
Dunk City beats Georgetown.
And also, Kevin Harlan is on the call of that game, and Kevin Harlan made it so good.
If there's anything you want
I think he
in life,
shouted, "Look out below," after one of the dunks, and it was awesome.
Kevin Harlan with a basketball game that features a ton of dunks is a match made in heaven.
Yeah. Oh, it was great.
With no regard for human life. So games all day today, that's exciting. 12:15 start. I always wait for the lulls are always tough. You know, you've got 4 games at once, and what does America want? Is there an America's team, or is it just we want the buzzer beaters? We want the madness. We want where at 1:45 today, 3 games are close, and you're tuning in, you're whipping around, you're seeing the score up in the corner. You want your bracket to be busted, kind of, but also not.
Yeah, I think America's going to want whoever the lowest seed to win is. Like, no one knows yet who that Cinderella is going to be because they gotta win a game, right? But doesn't everybody jump on board?
Yeah.
Like, if I couldn't tell you what's different between Tennessee State and Wright State, other than one's a 14 seed and one's a 15 seed. If Wright State beats Virginia and makes it to the second round, what's everybody doing for the next couple of days? Oh, go Wright State, right?
Yep.
By the way, I just coincidentally picked Virginia. They do appear to be the team that often will lose to these.
They're the only one to lose to a 16.
They lost to UMBC.
And then they won the title the next year, which is the only way to erase that.
I don't know. I still remember that they are the ones that lost to a 16 seed.
Like I said, that was my fear for the longest time.
I think it's kind of equal. Like, you won the title. I think that's as memorable as you're the only one. Every year someone wins the title.
True.
There have been 50 to 100 champions in this thing. You're the only ones that ever lost to a 16 seed.
That's fair.
You stand alone.
You see why I was...
And I think they got smoked.
That sounds right.
I think they got smoked by a 15 seed.
This is why I was afraid of it every time. Syracuse be a 1 seed coming here. They beat Gonzaga.
Yeah, they lost 74 to 54.
They're dominated by
UMBC
16.
had 53 points in the second half. They had as many points in the half as Virginia had in the whole game, and they were a 1 seed. Yeah.
So that was 8 years ago that UMBC...
2018.
Yeah, 2018. All right.
Yeah, all this stuff seems so long ago now. What's happened recently? Again, last year was kind of boring. You had the 11 seed NC State a couple years ago. Like, I got to look up now when the Loyola Chicago run was. Because in my mind, that was like 3 years ago.
Lately, you get like Villanova and Connecticut multiple times, right? Villanova won a very dramatic one.
Also 8 years ago was Loyola Chicago, making it to the Final Four.
So all of our memories of the tournament are from 8 years ago.
8 years ago
is what
or
we're
longer.
finding out.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. I always think of Harold the Show Arsenault from Weber State.
Okay.
This is the time of year where you learn about one guy from a team, and that's the guy I remember. Or you learn about your sister Jean's, or is it St. Joe's? I think it's St. Joe's, the Owls. Is St. Joe's the Owls? That's the one where the kid is inside the mascot costume and has to flap his arms the entire game.
Okay.
I think that's the job. Yeah, the Hawk. Sorry, the St. Joe's Hawk. The St. Joe's Hawk has to flap its wings even through halftime. Estimated that a hawk flaps the St. Joe's Hawk 3,500 times per game. And the university's motto is the hawk will never die. So if you are the mascot, you have to flap your arms the entire game.
Really?
Yes.
Man, you better work out to prepare for that.
I would imagine.
Yeah. I don't think I couldn't do that.
803
for a whole game. During the breaks too.
Yes, it's just the whole game,
halftime,
even during halftime.
During halftime and the TV timeouts, man, no one hates replay review more than that Hawk.
Oh.
Imagine there's 30 seconds left in the game, and you're like your arms are about to fall off, and you're like this game's almost over. We're gonna review to see who touched that ball last. They take 5 minutes, and you got to flap through all the replay reviews.
Yeah. I'm reading Wikipedia claims that the application process for the St. Joe's Hawk includes an interview and a 1-hour tryout in the suit. You got to show them you're flapping.
For an hour?
An hour.
Just to what? See if you get close to getting tired?
Since 1992, the student awarded the role of the mascot has been the recipient of an endowed scholarship and is considered a full member of the basketball team if you're in the Hawk suit.
Wow.
Yep.
Couldn't they just find a way to have your arms inside the suit and then the wings are empty and they just automatically
you just
flap up and down,
pull a lever or something?
Yeah,
I suppose so. They probably could do that. Is it worth it?
Is it more worth it than having one poor soul have to do that for a 3-hour basketball game?
You got to work for that scholarship. Got to work for it.
Butler, by the way, we should have mentioned.
But Syracuse lost to Butler. Don't talk to me about it. Oh my God.
Butler. I mean, hey, Butler should have. I mean, not should have. Almost had the greatest shot in college basketball history to beat Duke. And it's great because he missed it, and people remember it.
Go check the box score of Syracuse Butler.
Was that the same year they went to the national championship?
Yeah. Look at me sitting here remembering the Demons, and I'd forgotten one Butler. For 5 seconds. You bring up Butler.
63-59.
What was their shooting from 3? 1 for 17 or something?
Syracuse?
Yeah.
They're fine. 7 for 19.
7 for 19. I think
that's not bad.
No, I think that's.
it's not good, but
I think that's the year they lose Arinze Onuaku in the Big East tournament.
18 turnovers though. Yikes.
Should have won the title. Onuaku got hurt against Georgetown in the Big East tournament. Their big man in the middle. It's fine. It's fine. Let's get some calls in here. 803-0550. If you want to just remember some tournaments.
I don't think that's the year that I'm thinking of, though.
No?
Oh, no, because they made the finals in back-to-back years.
Okay. And lost both?
They were a 5 seed in the year they played Syracuse. I think they were an 8 seed the other year they made the title.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
they lost
the
both.
5 seed's the one that lost to Duke on a half-court shot that nearly went down.
Yes.
Yeah. 803-0550 to get some remember some tournament if you want it. Sean in Long Island, though, on the Bills. Hey, Sean, good morning.
Hang on. Hey, good morning, guys. No, that's it. So, guys, just want to see if you could throw on the optimist hat here and walk me through how the heck the Bills are favored to win the AFC East next year. I don't see it. I don't see how this roster, I believe, is a bit worse than last year. I know we added DJ Moore. We added pretty much nothing other than the safety on the defensive side of the ball. I don't want to say other than, but he's kind of a bit of a wild card. Let's be real. The schedule is substantially harder than it was last year. And, the Patriots, I think, fortified themselves. The Jets, I don't really look at them as a threat, but they've fortified themselves a bit, maybe to be a little scrappy. And the Dolphins will be terrible. I think Chris was right on the other day with ranking them as the 6th best team in the AFC. And that's, I think that's kind of where they sit. And I'm just asking you guys to maybe talk me off the ledge as far as how you think that this team may overachieve. I'm looking at the draft class. I mean, maybe 2 to 3 difference makers, but how big of a difference makers can they get? I don't think it's enough to reach the promised land is what I'm saying. I think this is looking at 2027 as the year that we kind of push our chips in, and this is a transition year.
I would ask, what has New England done that really impresses you this offseason that the Bills haven't done? That's been part of I have not been impressed by the Bills offseason. I have been equally unimpressed by New England's offseason.
They added a receiver. They added a guard.
They added a receiver probably the same caliber, probably even maybe worse than what the Bills added. And they added a lineman, it's Bradley Chubb, Elijah Vera Tucker. That's your next biggest move. They didn't add a whale. They haven't added this giant room of stud players with all their cap space.
I think
this offseason. They might add A.J. Brown still.
Yeah,
but
I think they had a receiver with more upside. That doesn't mean he will hit that upside.
He's fine. Dobbs is fine. He's not.
He's fine.
He's not a stud number 1 receiver.
A lot of people like him to be a really strong number 2, and they paid him number 2 money.
Is he better than DJ Moore? They're in the same tier, aren't they? There's nothing they've done that is more impressive to me than what the Bills have done.
The safety they got's better.
Mike Brown.
No, Kevin Byard. They signed
Kevin
an
Byard.
all-pro safety. That's better than just like a 1-year guy that
Mike Brown's the other safety they signed. Okay, they signed a safety and they signed Reggie Gilliam.
Yeah, they took Reggie Gilliam from you.
It's not, to me, that impressive.
Well, they beat you last year once. First off, the answer to your question is Josh Allen. The reason the Bills are favored to win the AFC East is Josh Allen. That's it. But the rest of it, New England also still has a second-round pick. The Bills don't.
Mm-hmm.
So, if they had treated it as if they traded for a second-round pick and the Bills hadn't, that's one thing that they have that the Bills don't. So they have more ammunition. They have a lot more cap space. They used some of their cap space. They lost K'Lavon Chason, who was a good edge rusher for them.
Yep.
Will they still get A.J. Brown? I don't know. But
that is the thing that's hanging out there that I would tell you, like, hey, if you want to bet on New England, do it now because they still have the fourth most cap space in football. And if they want to go get A.J. Brown or Max Crosby, they're the team that could still do that.
Yeah, and post-June 1 is when A.J. Brown is very much more likely to happen.
Yes.
So they could do that around then.
I mean, they could still be the Crosby team.
Yep.
Crosby gets traded. A lot of teams have done their stuff. The Bills are one of them. Made moves that kind of block them out from making a trade like that. New England is not blocked out from making a Crosby trade.
Maybe they want to see who's there, see how the first round goes. They call the Raiders and say, 2 firsts? All right, we'll talk about it on draft night.
Yeah.
Because if a guy we love is falling to 22nd, maybe they go up. Maybe they call the Bills. Don't trade with New England, Bills. Just let's not do that. But whatever. I think New England is in a very strong position. I think they probably should go in for A.J. Brown, but we'll see if they do. So, but your answer is, Josh Allen. That's it. That's the answer to every question asked about the Bills, as Tim Graham wrote in The Athletic yesterday, which I thought was a very good piece. Like, the Bills still treat it that way. I also saw Adam Schefter tweeting out a picture of Brandon Beane and Joe Brady at Michigan basketball practice. They were there at the arena for that.
Mm-hmm.
Are they ever not together? They're aligned. They are everywhere together.
They are hanging out.
They are aligned.
Yeah.
803-0550 and 1-888-550-2550. I was off yesterday. I didn't get a chance to talk about the Waddle deal. I'd like to do that. Everybody yelling.
It was expensive.
Everybody yelling about trades, Googling this guy's stats versus this guy's stats.
Mm-hmm.
It was expensive.
I mean, first and a third.
Sure. And a pick swap of fourths?
Yeah. Just pick swap.
803-0550, our phone number. Tournament stuff, we got the Sabres, of course. They'll play out west tonight against the Sharks. And, it's March Madness. It's upon us. Jeremy and Joe, if you want to call and remember some tournaments, you're welcome to do that. We got plenty more to get to. Brian Koziol at 8 o'clock. J.J. Zachariason at 9 o'clock on rookies and dynasty value in the NFL, which rookies to key in on, stuff like that. He's got a brand new model on that, which is kind of cool. We'll talk to you about. That's coming up at 9. So plenty to get to here on WGR. Jeremy White here for, if you were to do the Family Feud style, name a Cinderella.
Oh.
Top 5 answers on the board. Name a Cinderella, like that took a run. The number one answer, I think, is easy.
Loyola Chicago.
Oh, no, okay.
Oh, George Mason.
I think George Mason is the most well-known. They made the Final Four, right?
Yeah, but I think so did Loyola Chicago,
Okay.
and that was more recent, which is why that came to my mind.
I think George Mason.
Those are probably the top 2, though.
Yeah.
Because they made it the furthest. What was George Mason as a seed? Were they an 11?
I think they were an 11.
That's what Loyola Chicago was.
And
Sister Jean. Florida Gulf Coast comes to mind for me. They were a 15 seed that won twice.
They were Dunk U.
What
were they?
Dunk City.
Dunk City.
The dunks they pulled out were unbelievable. I think they beat who was the 2 they beat? Maybe Georgetown was a 2 the year they beat them.
Who did Dunk City beat?
I think it was Georgetown. And they were throwing alley-oops in the second half against Georgetown. It's like, are they going to do this? They're going to do alley-oop.
Yeah, it was Georgetown.
Oh, Florida Gulf Coast. That was a riot.
The 7th.
That might be my favorite one because they were just dunking all over your face as they were. as they were upsetting you.
This was 13 years ago.
Wow, that's...
You feel old for the first time in your life.
I might feel old for the first time in my life. That was 13 years ago?
13 years ago, yeah.
Jeez.
Dunk City beats Georgetown.
And also, Kevin Harlan is on the call of that game, and Kevin Harlan made it so good.
If there's anything you want in life...
I think he shouted, "Look out below," after one of the dunks, and it was awesome.
Kevin Harlan with a basketball game that features a ton of dunks is a match made in heaven.
Yeah. Oh, it was great.
With no regard for human life.
I would ask, what has New England done that really impresses you this offseason that the Bills haven't done? Like, that's been part of, like, I have not been impressed by the Bills offseason. I have been equally unimpressed by New England's offseason.
They added a receiver. They added a guard.
They added a receiver probably the same caliber, probably even maybe worse than what the Bills added. And they added a lineman, like, it's Bradley Chubb, Elijah Vera Tucker. That's your next biggest move. Like, they didn't add a whale. They haven't added this giant room of stud players with all their cap space.
I think
this offseason, they might add A.J. Brown still.
Yeah, they had a receiver with more upside. That doesn't mean he will hit that upside.
He's fine. Dobbs is fine. He's not.
He's fine. A people,
a stud number one receiver.
A lot of people like him to be a really strong number two, and they paid him number two money. Like,
is he better than DJ Moore? They're in the same tier, aren't they? Like, just there's nothing they've done that is more impressive to me than what the Bills have done.
The safety they got's better.
Mike Brown.
No, Kevin Byard.
Right.
They signed
Kevin
an all-pro safety. You know, like that's better than just like a one-year guy that you.
Mike Brown's the other safety they signed. Okay, they signed a safety and they signed Reggie Gilliam.
Yeah, they took Reggie Gilliam from you.
It's not, to me, that impressive.
Well, they beat you last year once.
The Sabres back in action, continuing their Western road trip tonight in San Jose, taking on the Sharks. Puck drop is set for 10 o'clock. Per our own Paul Hamilton, the Sabres did not practice in San Jose yesterday, so we'll find out more on how Alex Tuch is feeling at the morning skate. Former Bills defensive end A.J. Epinesa signing a one-year deal worth up to $5 million with the Cleveland Browns. And in looking around the NFL, ESPN's Kevin Seifert reports the NFL is, quote, laying groundwork for hiring replacement officials for the 2026 season. The Colts signed wide receiver Nick Westbrook-Ikine, formerly of the Dolphins. The Eagles acquired quarterback Andy Dalton from the Panthers in exchange for a seventh-round pick. And the Panthers signed A.J. Dillon, formerly the Eagles, to a one-year deal. The NCAA tournament officially gets underway today around the country in Buffalo. all with estimated start time. Session 1 will start out with number 6 Louisville taking on number 11 South Florida around 1:30. Number 3 Michigan State takes on number 14 North Dakota State, next at 4:05. And in Session 2, the 1 seed Michigan takes on number 16 seed Howard at 7:10, and number 8 Georgia takes on number 9 St. Louis after that at around 9:45 approximately. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Headlines. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Joe Cali on Western New York's Voice of the Fans, WGR.
The Denver Broncos being able to get him, this is the same Denver Broncos team that was the number 1 seed. Same Denver Broncos team that had 68 sacks, 4 shy of an all-time record by the Chicago Bears in 1984. Same Denver Broncos team that would have been in the Super Bowl if Bo Nix hadn't gone down. And now you let them get Jalen Waddle? That's how I'm looking at this. Buffalo and Denver are 2 elite teams in the AFC, and I think you let the other team get Jalen Waddle instead of getting him yourself. They were talking before the trading deadline about getting Waddle. I consider Waddle better than DJ Moore. I know DJ Moore got a greater upside, but I think I'm looking at Jalen Waddle, and I'm saying, as electrifying as that brother can be when healthy, he's somebody that should have been in Buffalo.
Stephen A. Of all the things to say, DJ Moore has a better upside than Jalen Waddle. I mean, that's
I don't think that's the case.
Good morning. Do we want to sit? I mean, did you do it all day yesterday, arguing whether or not DJ Moore is better than Jalen Waddle?
We did some of that. I think Jalen Waddle is better than DJ Moore.
I don't even think
that is really debatable.
I also don't think that's sure. I would of the two.
I think
wouldn't the Bills also we can just do it this way. The Bills were reportedly going to trade a first for Waddle and it didn't get done. A first.
Yeah, right.
Instead, they trade a net third for Moore. Like, who do the Bills think is better?
Right.
The Bills probably couldn't get Waddle because he's in the division. You know,
right.
I know it's the free agency chart we can apply to trades, like who'd the Bills get. Well, that's the best guy. I mean, Waddle is a very good pickup for the Broncos. I think it's fantastic for them.
Yeah, I don't think that's the debate of who's the better player. I think it's what's the better trade. Is he so much better than Moore that a second for Moore or a first and a third, if you take away the day 3 picks out of it, is that a better deal, getting more for a second than having to pay a first and a third for Waddle? And one thing I pointed out is, you have to count the money as well. Like, the Bills have $30 million more that they will have to pay DJ Moore than what the Broncos are on the hook for Waddle, just because there's one more year of the contract with Moore than there is with Waddle. And with Waddle being, I think it's 2 years younger, you don't have as much, I think, of the questions about decline with Moore. So it's a year extra of the contract, all that money, and I'm a little further along in the, what does he have left in the tank conversation than I do with Waddle.
It's like a year and a half difference.
Year and a half?
Moore turns 28.
I know. All I saw was that it's 27 versus 29 at the beginning of the year.
Right.
That's right?
Right.
Yeah, okay.
If you want to go age or do you want to go miles on the tires? Waddle came into the league a lot older. Waddle's been in the league 5 years. Moore's been in the league 8 years. So they're only a year and a half in actual age, but in years in the league, they're 3 years apart. So it might feel like DJ Moore's a lot older. Whatever. Moore is going to be 29 in a month, and Waddle turns 28 in November. So
I don't think it's crazy to say I'd rather do the Moore trade because it's only a second, and I don't want to pay a first and a third for Jalen Waddle. But for me, with the contract added into it, I think the Moore trade is more expensive than, while it's only a second versus a first and a third. The contract for Moore is nuts.
A.J. Epinesa is signing with the Browns. We'll get to that in a minute. But a real quick thing on all this. Every trade, this is part of the reason. I'd just like to break this down real quickly. Many of you know this. Some of you might learn this, whatever. Some of you might think this is wrong. That's how this goes. That's how sports radio works. You're trading for a player, you're trading for a contract, and you're trading also with a situation in mind. And that is, what's the A.J. Brown situation? It's, we don't have to trade this player, right? We don't have to do this. If we trade him, we incur a big cap hit, a big dead cap if you're the Eagles. We don't have to trade this player. So if you want us to, you're going to pay a pretty big price. Waddle, we don't have to trade this player. We are rebuilding, yes. If we can get a proper price, then pay it. And we'll, for the right price, you can convince us to take this player. Okay, DJ Moore. we don't have to trade this player. We could cut them and save the money. Like, to me, if you're lining up all the prices paid, the one thing that's very different is that the Bears would have been in a good spot if they wanted to, cutting him and saying, like, we saved $16 million. So this goes to the Diggs conversation, too, when the Bills traded him. Why'd they get a second? We don't have to trade this player. It might get ugly if he stays. The relationship is frayed. It's kind of like A.J. Brown. But for the right price, you could convince us to. And that's always why.
Because of the dead cap,
right,
too, right?
Michael Pittman. How about that one? We have to trade this player. Cap. We're about to commit to Alec Pierce. Age. What was the price on that one?
It was like a fifth,
late round
like
swap.
A fifth for a sixth.
So I think a lot of the DJ Moore trade conversation is around what the Bills paid, because the situation and the contract sure look more like a deal that should have been made for a fifth/sixth out that way instead of up near a second-round pick and a net third with the fifth rounder in there. So, like, the Waddle trade being expensive, his contract is much more palatable. You get him and you don't have to restructure him right away. You get him, his cap hit is $7 million. Like, that's kind of built in. The Bills got more and needed to restructure him right away. And they'll have to restructure him again next year.
Yeah, and it's just way easier for if it doesn't, and you don't want to make a trade with the, assuming it's going to go wrong, but you might have to plan for that just in case. The Waddle trade, if it doesn't go well for Denver, if he has injury problems and it's really damaging to the offense because he's not available and they made plans around him and he's not on the field, they have a way easier time getting out of that.
Yeah.
If Moore shows up and it's, it wasn't just Chicago and fit with Ben Johnson. Like, no, he's approaching 30. This is the age where a lot of receivers start to decline, and that's happening with him. If that's the case with DJ Moore, you're not getting out of that. You keep going.
Yeah.
You better find a way to make it work because he's here.
Yeah. 803-0550. I don't think the Waddle trade is an overpay. I think these guys are expensive. It's tough to get this position, and that's, we see it every year. Dave in Buffalo. Dave, good morning.
Hey, guys. We'll just change gears real quick and get off the Bills for a second. NCAA tournament memories, especially in this building. Didn't Pepperdine beat Bobby Knight?
Yes.
Okay, so that was the first one. And then he returned later with Texas Tech. And I think in that same bracket, there was a kid, a point guard named Ty Shine. This kid was dropping threes, and the arena was just a buzz. This kid was amazing. I don't think he ever made it to the pros, but for that afternoon, watching this kid drop threes was amazing. And then Duke losing to Virginia Commonwealth.
VCU, that's right. Yeah, Pepperdine, Indiana at the arena was March 17th, 2000.
That was here?
Yeah. Pepperdine beats Bobby Knight in Indiana, 77-57.
One that didn't happen in the arena. Didn't Vermont, and Jeremy, not to stab you with this one, but didn't Vermont beat Syracuse?
It doesn't ring a bell, Dave. And I don't think it happened. I do
believe that one has already come up today.
I don't think it happened. I don't think it happened where Syracuse was going to make their comeback and dunked one home and got called for a technical foul for hanging on the rim too long, giving them a free throw. I don't think that happened.
Wow, that's how it would have ended?
That's one of the ways that it ended.
That is
yes.
tough.
And also the guy hit like a 60-foot three. It's fine.
That game was insane. I remember watching that, yelling at the TV going, did that just happen?
That was the year, was that 2004? That might be the year after, or 2 years after they win the title, because Jerry McNamara is still on the team when they lose to Vermont. And he was a freshman, of course, when they won the title. So Syracuse, Vermont, 2005, 2 years later, 60-57. I think that was in Albany? Worcester, Mass. Okay, Worcester. Also at the arena, Syracuse beat the brakes off of Gonzaga. Like, absolute domination.
What years is like before Gonzaga was a thing? Before they were a powerhouse?
No, it was, what year? Let me find the year for this one. It was in the tournament, of course, and it would have been, absolutely, 87-65. It's 2010. They beat them by 22, but the score at halftime, I think Syracuse was up 40 at halftime.
Okay.
It was an absolute runaway. First half, whatever. I'll find it for you.
What seed are they this year, Gonzaga? They got to do it at some point here, right?
They've been to a
final.
Yeah.
But like
Adam Morrison.
Like, how old's Mark Few at this point? Like, if you're a Gonzaga fan, isn't this kind of like your like Josh Allen has hit 30 years old? Like, I gotta do this. I can do this.
He's been the head coach since 1999.
That's a long time.
That's a long time.
I know I can do this. I know I'm capable of it. I haven't done it yet, and I know I have a finite amount of time to do this. So come on, let's go. Like, there might be a little bit of anxiety, and maybe Bills fans aren't feeling that yet. Maybe that's coming. If you're a Gonzaga fan, aren't you thinking, like, Mark Few is in his 60s now? How much longer does he want to do this? And I don't know that I'm just going to be a powerhouse forever when he's not the coach.
Yeah.
And in 25 years with him as the coach, I haven't won yet. I haven't won the title. I'm always a 1 seed, right? This year they're a 3 seed. But they've been a 1 seed a bunch of times, and they haven't won a national title. Like, I would feel like I got to do this now. I got to do it soon. I got to do it soon.
They definitely stopped being a Cinderella and started becoming.
Oh, yeah.
And is Gonzaga not a blue blood?
In the last 10...
Also, I think it's Gonzaga. I always say
Gonzaga.
I think it's Gonzaga.
I always go with Gonzaga. In the last 10 years, they've been a 1, a 4, a 1, a 1, a 1, a 3, a 5, and 8, and this year a 3. It's been a 1. They've been a 1 more times, or as many times as they haven't been. So, yeah, like
maybe if they get there, we root for them.
I think I'm rooting for them harder now.
All right, there you
go.
I
feel like they're running out of time.
You found a rooting interest. 803-0550 to join us. AJ Epinesa to the Browns.
Yeah, not for much money.
No.
Up to $5 million.
This year, actually, the Bills had a player leave for big money. Multiple players left for, like, decent contracts. David Edwards left for, like, last year, players left, and we thought, is anybody going to find a team?
Yeah, who since Tremaine Edmonds had really signed for, like, a big deal elsewhere.
Edwards. Gilliam gets decent money. Like, that was a good deal for a fullback for him.
Good fullback money.
Yeah, well, it's good money. That's what he plays. 803-0550, 1-888-550-2550. Tournament memories. I also have all the famous alumni from every school if you want to go pick matchups based on the famous alumni. Does give us an opportunity to debate which alumni at each school is the most famous, too. You know, tournament stuff. Jeremy and Joe, Brian Koziol, 8 o'clock on the matchups today at KeyBank Center, and also the Sabres, who are out west for San Jose tonight here on WGR.
I would ask, what has New England done that really impresses you this offseason that the Bills haven't done? Like, that's been part of, like, I have not been impressed by the Bills' offseason. I have been equally unimpressed by New England's offseason.
They added a receiver. They added a guard.
They added a receiver probably the same caliber, probably even maybe worse than what the Bills added. And they added a lineman, like, it's Bradley Chubb, Elijah Vera Tucker. That's your next biggest move. Like, they didn't add a whale. They haven't added this giant room of stud players with all their cap space.
I think
this offseason. They might add A.J. Brown still.
Yeah, but they had a receiver with more upside. That doesn't mean he will hit that upside.
He's fine. Dobbs is fine. He's not.
He's fine. He's
not a stud number 1 receiver.
A lot of people like him to be a really strong number 2, and they paid him number 2 money. Like,
is he better than DJ Moore? They're in the same tier, aren't they? Like, just there's nothing they've done that is more impressive to me than what the Bills have done.
The safety they got's better.
Mike Brown.
No, Kevin Byard. They signed
Kevin
an all-pro safety. You know, like that's better than just like a 1-year guy that you're...
Mike Brown's the other safety they signed. Okay, they signed a safety and they signed Reggie Gilliam.
Yeah, they took Reggie Gilliam from you.
It's not, to me, that impressive.
Well, they beat you last year once. If you were to do the Family Feud style, name a Cinderella.
Oh.
Top 5 answers on the board. Name a Cinderella, like, that took a run. The number 1 answer, I think, is easy.
Loyola Chicago.
Oh, no, okay.
Oh, George Mason.
I think George Mason is the most they made the Final Four, right?
Yeah, but I think so did Loyola Chicago,
okay.
and that was more recent, which is why that came to my mind.
I think George Mason.
Those are probably the top 2, though.
Yeah.
Because they made it the furthest. What was George Mason as a seed? Were they an 11?
I think they were an 11.
That's what Loyola Chicago was. Sister Jean. Florida Gulf Coast comes to mind for me. They were a 15 seed that won twice.
They were Dunk U. What were they?
Dunk City.
Dunk City.
The dunks they pulled out were unbelievable. They were, I think they beat who was the 2 they beat? Maybe Georgetown was a 2 the year they beat them.
Who did Dunk City beat?
I think it was Georgetown, and they were throwing alley-oops in the second half against Georgetown. It's like, are they going to do this? Are they going to do alley-oop?
Yeah, it was Georgetown.
Oh, Florida Gulf Coast. That was a riot.
The 7th.
That might be my favorite one because they were just dunking all over your face as they were upsetting you.
This was 13 years ago.
Wow, that's.
You feel old for the first time in your life.
I might feel old for the first time in my life. That was 13 years ago?
13 years ago, yeah.
Jeez.
Dunk City beats Georgetown.
And also, Kevin Harlan is on the call of that game, and Kevin Harlan made it so good.
If there's anything you want
I think he shouted, "Look out below," after one of the dunks, and it was awesome.
Kevin Harlan with a basketball game that features a ton of dunks is a match made in heaven.
Yeah. Oh, it was great.
With no regard for human life. We are remembering some guys. I'm starting with Tyus Edney. You guys know Tyus Edney?
No.
Go search Tyus Edney, game winner. Coast to coast layup against Missouri. I believe it's Missouri in the second round, maybe Sweet 16. For UCLA, they go on to win the title. But they don't do it without Tyus Edney's baseline to baseline buzzer beater to send them through. Tyus Edney. Mateen Cleaves, reading some of my responses here.
That's a good name.
God Shamgod. Providence?
I learned, I think, a year ago that that's a real person.
Yeah.
God Shamgod.
Yep.
For what team?
Providence.
Providence.
Mateen Cleaves, Michigan State. Teddy Dupay, Florida. So many UConn players. Wally Zerbiak burst onto the scene with 43 points.
That guy could shoot.
43 points in a tournament game, Wally Zerbiak.
Yeah.
For Miami of Ohio. Hey, Miami of Ohio won.
They did.
I hope they win the whole thing.
That would be funny.
I would love them to win the whole thing after going unbeaten and people saying, I'm not sure they belong in there. I want them to win the whole thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, Jeremy and Joe. Get some Bills chatter on the other side. We have more from Lance Lysowski on the Bills, maybe thinking Dawson Knox was going to leave. AJ Epinesa is leaving for Cleveland for a 1-year, $5 million deal. And Brian Koziol, 8 o'clock on the Sabres and tournament day here in Buffalo. KeyBank Center will be busy. 4 games And the Extra Point Show is coming up 10 o'clock live at Hartman's. If you were to do the Family Feud style, name a Cinderella.
Oh.
Top 5 answers on the board. Name a Cinderella that took a run. The number one answer, I think, is easy.
Loyola Chicago.
Oh, no. Okay.
Oh, George Mason.
I think George Mason is the most well-known. They made the Final Four, right?
Yeah, but I think so did Loyola Chicago,
Okay.
and that was more recent, which is why that came to my mind.
I think George Mason.
Those are probably the top 2, though.
Yeah.
Because they made it the furthest. What was George Mason as a seed? Were they an 11?
I think they were an 11.
That's what Loyola Chicago was.
And
Sister Jean. Florida Gulf Coast comes to mind for me. They were a 15 seed that won twice.
They were Dunk U.
What were they? Dunk City.
Dunk City.
The dunks they pulled out were unbelievable. They were, I think they beat who was the 2 they beat? Maybe Georgetown was a 2 the year they beat them.
Who did Dunk City beat?
I think it was Georgetown. And they were throwing alley-oops in the second half against Georgetown. It's like, are they going to do this? They're going to do alley-oop.
Yeah, it was Georgetown.
Oh, Florida Gulf Coast. That was a riot.
The 7th.
That might be my favorite one because they were just dunking all over your face as they were upsetting you.
This was 13 years ago.
Wow, that's.
You feel old for the first time in your life.
I might feel old for the first time in my life. That was 13 years ago?
13 years ago, yeah.
Jeez.
Dunk City beats Georgetown.
And also, Kevin Harlan is on the call of that game, and Kevin Harlan made it so good.
If there's anything you want
I think he shouted, "Look out below," after one of the dunks, and it was awesome.
Kevin Harlan with a basketball game that features a ton of dunks is a match made in heaven.
Yeah. Oh, it was great.
With no regard for human life. Morning. Do we want to sit? I mean, did you do it all day yesterday, arguing whether or not DJ Moore is better than Jalen Waddle?
We did some of that. I think Jalen Waddle is better than DJ Moore.
I don't even think that is really debatable.
I
also don't think that's sure. I would of the two.
I think
wouldn't the Bills also we can just do it this way. The Bills were reportedly going to trade a first for Waddle and it didn't get done. A first.
Yeah, right.
Instead, they trade a net third for Moore. Who do the Bills think is better?
Right.
The Bills probably couldn't get Waddle because he's in the division.
Right.
I know it's the free agency chart we can apply to trades, who'd the Bills get? Well, that's the best guy. I mean, Waddle is a very good pickup for the Broncos. I think it's fantastic for them.
Yeah, I don't think that's the debate of who's the better player. I think it's what's the better trade. Is he so much better than Moore that a second for Moore or a first and a third, if you take away the day 3 picks out of it, is that a better deal, getting more for a second than having to pay a first and a third for Waddle? And one thing I pointed out is you have to count the money as well. The Bills have $30 million more that they will have to pay DJ Moore than what the Broncos are on the hook for Waddle, just because there's one more year of the contract with Moore than there is with Waddle. And with Waddle being, I think it's 2 years younger, you don't have as much, I think, of the questions about decline with Moore. So it's a year extra of the contract, all that money, and I'm a little further along in the, what does he have left in the tank conversation than I do with Waddle.
It's a year and a half difference.
Year and a half?
Moore turns 28.
I know. All I saw was that it's 27 versus 29 at the beginning of the year.
Right.
That's right?
Right.
Yeah, okay.
If you want to go age or do you want to go miles on the tires? Waddle came into the league a lot older. Waddle's been in the league 5 years. Moore's been in the league 8 years. So they're only a year and a half in actual age, but in years in the league, they're 3 years apart. So it might feel like DJ Moore's a lot older. Whatever. Moore is going to be 29 in a month, and Waddle turns 28 in November. So
I don't think it's crazy to say I'd rather do the Moore trade because it's only a second, and I don't want to pay a first and a third for Jalen Waddle. But for me, with the contract added into it, I think the Moore trade is more expensive than, while it's only a second versus a first and a third. The contract for Moore is nuts.
Sabres back in action tonight, continuing their Western road trip in San Jose, taking on the Sharks. Puck drop set for 10 o'clock. Per our own Paul Hamilton, the Sabres did not practice in San Jose yesterday, so we'll find out more on how Alex Tuch is feeling at the morning skate. Former Bills defensive end A.J. Epinesa signing a one-year deal worth up to $5 million with the Cleveland Browns. And around the NFL, ESPN's Kevin Seifert reports the NFL is, quote, laying the groundwork for hiring replacement officials for the 2026 season. The Colts signed wide receiver Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, formerly of the Dolphins. The Eagles acquired quarterback Andy Dalton from the Panthers in exchange for a 7th-round pick. And the Panthers signed A.J. Dillon, formerly of the Eagles, to a one-year deal. The NCAA tournament officially gets underway today around the country in Buffalo, all with estimated start times. Number 6, Louisville, takes on number 11, South Florida at 1:30. Number 3, Michigan State, takes on number 14, North Dakota State at 4:05 approximately. And then session 2, the 1 seed, Michigan, takes on number 16 seed, Howard, 7:10. And number 8 seed, Georgia, takes on number 9 seed, St. Louis at 9:45. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Joe Cali on Western New York's Voice of the Fans, WGR.
Yeah, I mean, Chubb, listen, again, there's a guy who grew up in the Carolinas as an NC State fan, so you naturally watch probably more of their games before you even flip the film on, before his year of eligibility to the draft. So have known him, followed his career. When Vaughn was here, Vaughn was always talking about Bradley Chubb, and he can still rush the passer. He's huge. He walked to my door. He filled up the door frame. Like he's a big man, and I think he's a complete 3-down player. And so I would say, when he's on the field, if you want to run at him, he's going to handle it. He can also rush the passer. And
Bills GM Brandon Beane, that's on the Centered on Buffalo podcast. Eric Wood talking with Brandon Beane about Nick Chubb. Sorry, Bradley Chubb, not Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb, where's he? Anywhere? Not with the Texans anymore, right?
No, I don't think he's anywhere. No.
Bradley Chubb. He can also rush the passer. They're going first-round defensive end. I've also already started to work. I'm working on a marketing campaign, if you want.
On defensive end in the first round?
Well, we got to give it a snazzy name. You know how it works.
Yeah.
The wide receiver train has been around for a long time. I've got some nominees. This is what I did yesterday. It was off yesterday. And
what are you using? Are we calling it the rusher? A something rusher?
I've got three.
Okay.
Yeah. You want these?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Again, if we're gonna be silly and stupid with it, because that's what I tend to want to do. I've got one. It's called the Bendy Bus.
The Bendy Bus.
Because it's not just edge rusher.
They need a bend.
Really, they need a bendy edge rusher.
Yeah, that's right.
The Bendy Bus.
Mm-hmm.
The pressure pickup. Okay, you don't like that
one. The pressure pickup?
Yeah.
Not into it.
It's like a pickup truck. Pressure.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm not into
it. Okay. And then one more.
Not a fan.
The edge sledge. How do you like that? No? All right.
The sledge?
I'll see myself out. Sledge, yeah.
Like a sledgehammer?
Like a sledge that you... Like a sledge is like a bobsled. It's almost like a sledge.
Okay.
There's a mode of transportation.
Not a sled, but a sledge.
A sledge, yeah. Use it on like...
I wasn't familiar that there was also a sledge.
Yeah, the edge sledge.
How about the rusher roost?
Roost?
Rusher roost. You're in your, we're wanting a pass rusher. A roost is a nest, sort of.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm into it.
What about like the rusher rover?
Rusher, whatever. We're working on it.
We're
workshopping
we've
this.
got work to do.
We'll have a meeting after the show.
We need to have a mind meld here.
The defensive end.
Defensive dozer or something.
Bulldozer. I don't know.
The wide receiver train just kind of came to us all. Anyway, that's Brandon Beane on Bradley Chubb. And A.J. Epinesa is going to the Browns. 1 year, $5 million. I put up a little, fun Twitter poll. It's not. It's just. Was that a good second-round pick? Is Epinesa a good second-round pick? Or maybe the better way to ask it, is Epinesa a good example of what a second-round pick often is? Guy that's on your team.
That's probably
plays
better.
6 seasons. Mm-hmm. And because the Bills, they just traded away a second-round pick, and I think a lot of the discourse about DJ Moore and the price is what they could have instead. And the second round for the Bills has been Keon Coleman, Cole Bishop, A.J. Epinesa, Cody Ford. Zay Jones, right? Is he a second-round pick?
He was a second-round pick.
Yeah. So there's some good, some bad. James Cook, late second-round pick. And, A.J. Epinesa, where's he fall? Kind of right in the middle? Is it a good pick?
I mean, he played a lot.
He played a lot.
He played a lot of snaps over 6 years. And he made a couple plays. Wasn't usually the plays he would make that you remember, though. His hands are up in the air, and he bats a ball, then intercepts it.
Yeah, or somebody picks off a pass. Yeah.
I can't
can you
remember
a sack. Can you remember a sack?
No, I was going to say big sack. I don't know if I can remember a sack.
He has 24 sacks in 6
years.
seasons. He had 3 seasons of 6 or more sacks.
I mean, he had him.
Yeah, he got to the quarterback.
He had a couple of 6-sack seasons, right, with this team.
Yep. Not to say he didn't ever have. Not to say he didn't ever have a big sack. Just right. Not exactly like the game wrecker player. Just a guy that played and did a job and was pretty good.
I guess
at that job.
If I really parse whether he was a good pick, it's probably got to be yes. I guess just
because he played.
He always frustrated me in that he's the guy that I felt like was on the field because they were missing on their other defensive end investment. Right?
Yeah.
Like, Vaughn got hurt. All right, I guess A.J. Epinesa is going back in the game. Boogie Basham can't play football. I guess A.J. Epinesa is going in there. Like Bosa, he's getting hurt again. I guess A.J. Epinesa has got to go in and play. He was always the guy that went in when the guy that being invested in wasn't doing it for them or wasn't available to them. That's kind of how I view him. So I guess he's a fine pick. He's probably exactly the median for second round.
Okay.
Maybe he should be thought of as a little bit above that. I bet odds would tell you that he's a little bit on the higher end of the curve.
It's just it's a little bit of a trap. It depends. Are you comparing him to Boogie Basham?
That's what I mean, because there are a lot of Boogie Bashams.
Or are you comparing him to Nick Benito, who was a second-round pick?
And is 1,000 times the player.
It's the variance that you get in the draft a little bit. Anyway, the Twitter poll is, was A.J. Epinesa a good pick? Yes, no, or the other option is just the shruggy emoji, like shrugging. I don't know. It's pretty much split a third all the way across. Yes, no, and I have no idea.
I think he had a touchdown for this team.
Epinesa?
Yeah, against Washington, I want to say.
I'll take your word for it. That's a game they won by a lot.
Yeah, they blew him out in Washington. I think that's one of those batted balls up in the air that I think he returned. Right. I think he also picked off Mahomes.
Yes. Rousseau did in his rookie season off Mahomes.
Epinesa had 4 interceptions in his Bills career. 2 of them actually were last year.
He got one against Burrow after the
that was
Benford
the next play.
Epinesa got the.
Did he bat that one, though?
I don't know, but he got the ball.
I don't think he batted that one because I remember thinking the only reason he was in that position to make the pick is because he could not get near the quarterback. Right. But hey, right spot, right time. I guess it worked out for him. I'm pretty sure he picked Mahomes off I guess it would have been a regular season game, though. Yeah. He doesn't have one in the playoffs.
803-0550. We'll get some of your calls. We're also remembering some guys for the tournament and all that. Lance Lysowski, the Buffalo News, has another piece up. His conversation with Brandon Beane, we mentioned earlier in the week that we got some of the inside information about how they would have gone for Max Crosby, how the 2 first-round picks did not scare the Bills off. The second piece Lance has written about this conversation is about Dawson Knox and how Brady says, I didn't feel good about Dawson being back. He wanted to be back, but Dawson's a starting tight end in this league. Losing him was going to be a huge hole in our offense. And the story of this goes down here's Beane on this. We wanted his talent. We also wanted his leadership, and it's hard to put a price on that. So you're trying to strike that balance where the player doesn't feel disrespected, where you're also putting some things in their deal. If things go their way, they can earn some more money. I think we found that. Those can be hard. Sometimes those discussions start with any player geez, you want me to come down to here? I don't know. Let me think about it. It's yeah, I can't do that. And whatever. He comes back. Knox comes back. Observation. You tell me if you notice this too. Observation. The Bills are obviously very public right now. Beane and Brady, they're a lot of places doing a lot of interviews, and I think fans enjoy that and appreciate hearing from the GM and hearing from the coach. They like to, or they seem to, consistently present how close different outcomes are all the time. It's, we wanted to make a trade. We didn't make a trade. We wanted Crosby. Didn't do that. Maybe it would have gone differently. We wanted Hendrickson. couldn't do that. We didn't think we were going to get Knox. Turns out we did. Mm-hmm. Over and over and over again, it really is a consistent message that a lot of these decisions could go either way. And this is how we got here. But it really could have gone either way. Here's the head coach thinking Dawson Knox was maybe not going to come back. So were those negotiations a little more contentious than we think? They got him back. Connor McGovern was almost gone.
Right, hadn't talked to the GM since the end of the season.
And then the quarterback gets involved and makes a phone call on both sides and kind of bridges the gap. So how so many of their moves seem to be very close to being other moves. Just an observation.
Right.
They like to kind of point that out. And that's the draft too, is it not? The draft is
definitely
all the time.
Draft.
Like why you go up a couple of picks because I don't think we're going to get this player whether it's the Kincaid pick or if it's it's just so many moves are so close to being another move, and I feel like I want to appreciate that that's probably very true of most teams, but I don't know how often other teams are willing to tell you that.
Does it serve them well to be telling people this often that they are in on the big moves and not getting it done? Because part of me thinks, I don't think you want to tell people that over and over and over. We tried on this guy, didn't happen. We tried on this guy, didn't happen. We tried on this guy, didn't happen. Especially when they're all like good players, like top players.
Right.
Like it's Waddle and it's Max Crosby and it's Hendrickson, and there are examples in the past that they've talked about. I think was there a McCaffrey story at one point? Maybe that was just that they called.
Maybe
not that
they were linked to running backs all the time until Cook's breakout.
But the other part of me thinks maybe that is good for you. That it's better for you than the alternative, which is people thinking that you're not even trying on these things. Like you want them to get the job done and get the deals done on top players, but not telling anybody that you were even in on it. Well, then I'd think of that's what Kevin Adams did, right?
Yeah.
And what was the reputation there? Well, you're not even trying anymore to get these
Kevin
players.
Adams was,
and that's not a good look either.
Right.
If people think you're not even making the call and making an attempt.
Yeah, Kevin Adams was. Hey, is this possible? And then I feel bad for our fans because people report things that aren't true.
Right.
And then the guy that he's talking about gets traded months later.
So I don't think that's better. Because I did see a little of that yesterday. Like, are they sure they want to be telling people that they keep striking out on all of these top players? I'm like, I think it is probably better than not saying anything at all.
I think it's, again, if we want to play the game of who wants me to know this, in this case, they want you to know. They want you to know this.
They're the ones saying it
over and over again. We were in here. We wanted this. We tried this. I mean, at the deadline, Bean went so far as to talk about how difficult it is to deal with other GMs because they grew up playing Madden or something like that.
Right.
Like there seems to be a little bit of a consistent message from Bean about how hard it is, how hard all of it is. It's difficult. This is tough. We're up against the cap. We've got these limitations. We've got this and that. Whether it's the quarterback makes a lot of money, which they've not said as much lately, but. They were on that, banging that drum for a little while. I think people kind of grew a little weary of that. But it's a consistent message of, we really are close to losing this player and close to making this trade. And everything is on a razor's edge.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an observation. 803-0550 and 1-888-550-2550. Is there an offseason where McGovern and Knox are both gone?
It's funny.
Small differences? Like those are big. Are those not big moves? Is there an offseason where
McGovern is certainly a big
Is there an offseason where if Baltimore doesn't make the offer for Crosby, the Bills have Crosby, no more, no McGovern, no Knox?
I wonder. I really wonder what the offseason looks like if they don't sign Connor McGovern, which is where it appeared to be headed. And maybe the GM was headed that way before the quarterback made a couple of phone calls. What was going to happen? He says, we didn't have the money. We couldn't play in that space where Hendrickson got to in the bidding with the Ravens and other teams. He didn't mention the Ravens, but that it got too expensive. Would it have been too expensive if you hadn't paid a bunch of money to your center a week before? Would you have been able to do that? Would you have been able to stay in on the Max Crosby sweepstakes without going back on another move to create room if you had not paid your center a big contract, 4 years, $52 million? I wonder what, because they would have done something. else with that money. Maybe they would have just paid a different center.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That was seemingly headed for this guy's going to walk, and he's going to go get a big money deal somewhere else. And then the story gets written by Tim Graham a week before, and then the quarterback gets involved to some extent, and now he's here. And it's not even that bad a contract, right? Like, it's not like it's oh man, they signed Connor McGovern to $5 million more than he probably should have gone for.
It's not bad at all.
He got less than he was really seemingly going to get on the open market, but it doesn't mean that they weren't going to be able to do something else had they not brought him back. They would have. It's just, what is it? And it's tough not to dream about, would they have been able to land one of the star pass rushers that they said they wanted to get and were in on if they had had that little bit of extra room and flexibility.
803-0550. The clip we played at the beginning about Chubb and being on Chubb, I'm so convinced their first-round pick will be an edge rusher, because when he's talking about Chubb, like, this is a guy who got 8.5 sacks last year with Miami. He's been a good player. He's a very high pick. But when you talk about how he's big, he's this, he's that, point of attack, rush, and he can also rush the passer. I think they want somebody at that position who their primary skill set is rushing the passer. And maybe that's Chubb, and that's just the way that he's talking about Chubb with Eric Wood.
Isn't Chubb kind of shouldn't he be more viewed as their upgraded A.J. Epinesa?
I think, yeah.
He's an A.J. Epinesa, and you hit the upgrade button. Like, he is a better player than A.J. Epinesa.
Yeah.
Like, no doubt.
And Epinesa got $5 million, and Chubb got, like 13?
Right.
Like, yeah, they upgraded that.
But that's one in and one out.
Right. And he wins.
So,
when he wins, it's like one of the things about Chubb is when he wins, he doesn't win quickly. That's kind of like Rousseau is like that, right? Like, these guys have value. That's why, joking at the beginning of the segment, like the bendy bus and the edge. I just find the guys in it's either the end of the first or the third round, now that you don't have a second, where they're going to just want to try to find somebody that is speed, bend, edge, because they are still seeking that. That's what Vaughn was before he got hurt.
And they are definitely still very much missing that at the position.
Yeah.
Like,
and
Hoyt maybe is the closest. I don't even know if you would want to describe him that way. I don't think you would. Like, Solomon is the guy you would want to describe for that. And he's such a low-level player on the scope of what that position is for you. You might as well consider that you don't have it. You don't have a guy that's going to play meaningful snaps that is that type of player. So, I'm with you. Like, I would be stunned if they don't come away with a guy like that with at least one of their first two picks, if not their first round pick. If they didn't get it in the first round, I would be like, bang, like they are going to do this in the third round. And even then, it's like, oh, you're doing it in the third round. That position goes fast. Like, what? First, it really does feel like first round. Unless they do what Joe Marino said yesterday with me, which is they're going to trade down and they'll pick like multiple times in the second round. And that's where you'll do it.
Find your way to the 26th pick being 2 firsts. Or sorry, being 2 seconds.
Maybe it's a second and what, a third?
I mean,
depends how far down in the second you're also going.
Sure. When they moved from where they were in the Coleman year to the first pick of the second round, that was a third-round pick. It was just another pick slide. Mm-hmm. Funny enough, a guy on Twitter, Victor, pointed out to me, there is a team that has 2 second-round picks that could do it, and it's the Bears. But you're going to trade for your own pick back? That'd be kind of funny if they did.
Yeah, to your point, by the draft value chart, the amount you would have to go down in the second round, just on the value chart.
Sure.
Which is not what
pick your chart.
It's 700 points for the 26th pick. It's 350 points for the 10th to last pick in the second round, so 55.
Yeah.
So 2 bottom 10 second-round picks would get you 26. And the trade down idea, I don't think ever comes up with them going that far down.
Yeah.
It's you go down 10 picks, maybe even go down 15 picks, but they're not going down 30 picks, right?
I wouldn't think so. If they go down 15 picks, maybe they get a 4th rounder out of the deal, and they add somebody of the back half of the draft. And even doing that, you have to have a team that wants to get into that spot. Maybe there will be. One thing I want to point out.
A second and a third would be equivalent by this to like the 26th pick.
Okay.
Like a mid-third. So you might be able to get a third out of it.
One thing to point out, Hayden Winks had this yesterday about the edges, director at Underdog,
Yep.
that the round 2 and 3 edges are much better athletes than the ones that are being projected at the end of round 1.
At the end of round 1?
Yes, like the depth class has better athletes in round 2. And if you look at mocks today, like consensus mocks, there's value in the edge class in rounds 2 and 3. Can the Bills afford to wait to the end of round 3 for their edge? I don't think there's any way they can. So that's why I feel like there's a level of me taking crazy pills here, Joe, because everybody wants to keep telling me receiver is probably still in the mix in the first round, and I refuse to believe that they would do
Joe
it.
said it with me again yesterday.
I know.
I think it's still in the mix.
Like I could sit here and make the case, but it's the defense. It's the defense. They've been chasing defense for years. They fire Sean McDermott. They're still chasing defense. They're chasing the edge rusher position for years and years and years and years and years. Epinesa now leaves. We thought maybe he could come back, but he probably leaves because Bradley Chubb's here. Like you said, he's an upgraded Bradley Chubb. Or Chubb's an upgraded Epinesa. They are going to absolutely do whatever it takes to get a speed rusher.
That's where I'm at, too.
I don't think they're willing to wait till the 91st pick to do it.
I guess I would ask, how many positions would outrank receiver right now? And maybe that doesn't matter because if you think it's 95% that they're going to draft a speed rusher, then we're talking about, well, which position is 3% instead of 2?
That depends. Are we approaching it from the mindset of the offense is good and got a receiver, or is the way that we're looking at it as Josh Palmer, Keon Coleman are going to be on the field a lot? Do we think that's good enough? Or is it from a what's the best value position-wise when they're on the board? It's the big conversation a year ago that fired off everything about receivers was my question was, do you value the position on par with your peers? Other teams take this position highly. The Bills never do. Coleman's the only one that they've drafted one with a top 100 pick. So if they get to 26 and it's a coin toss between the receiver, and they love that receiver, and the edge rusher, and they love that edge rusher, you know what that coin toss is going to do every time. It's a weighted coin. It's going to the edge rusher. Like I've seen them do it for 5, 6, 7 years. There have been receivers worthy of picks and defenders worthy of picks, and they've leaned on defenders. And for a long time, people have thought that's McDermott's influence, and maybe it was. Maybe in a different year it goes a different direction. I just think that given their roster makeup, where they look like they are, how many needs they have on their defensive side of the ball, it could be a linebacker, it could be an edge rusher, it could be a safety. I've seen more and more.
Safety seems busy now, doesn't it, though?
It could, but
they've got a lot of safeties.
They took a safety in the second round in Cole Bishop, and maybe Jim Leonard thinks he's going to build his long-term. It depends on the board.
But I think linebacker certainly, though, is right to point.
Linebacker, speed edge rusher. You could say guard. Maybe you could say guard. So you'd have to convince me receiver matters. I just can't. I will not get myself to thinking they're going to take a receiver at 26 because I think they're going to take an edge rusher no matter what.
All right. Like edge rusher, there's really no defense for it. Because I could sit here and say, like, what are
a speedy, a bendy,
right.
a specific
type
they
need
need that specific guy that there's no one on the roster.
Right. I guess if that guy's not there for them though at that pick, and then you do start getting into the other positions, like sure, the odds of them liking and still being committed to one of Josh Palmer or Keon Coleman, I think are really high. I think it's Palmer of the two. But one of the two, it's probably pretty high. Does it have to be more of a commitment than they have to Dorian Williams to be a starter right now? Do they have to have,
yes.
Do they have to have more faith in Josh Palmer or Keon Coleman to be a contributor right now than they would have in Dorian Williams?
I think that they would.
Because those two have let you down. Dorian Williams hasn't even really had a chance to let you down.
All right,
yet.
but sure, that's true. Just if you're going the politics and how much you need that player or how much you would benefit from that player being, again, the offense has the built-in always, but it's good. And if it's good, they've used the offense being good to justify being bad at part of it. It's like, who cares?
Yep.
The offense is good. We don't need anybody out there. We scored 30 points. And a lot of people will say this to me, and I think that's a fair thing to say. If they had a better defense all these years, or if they had game records on the defensive side, maybe their outcomes would be different. And I've got him in this offseason saying Crosby Hendrickson than getting Chubb. You're hunting in the Crosby-Hendrickson waters. You're drafting a defensive end with Ben.
I just wonder what is going to happen then because that is not even just we're narrowing it down to a position. It's a type at a position.
Cassius Howell. Not that these guys are the exact same as like Hendrick, but just you're gonna say a guy that gets there in less than 2.5 seconds is what I got to do. I got to find a guy that gets there fast.
And my wonder is if that guy isn't there for them when they pick at 26, what are they going to do? Are they going to reach 15 picks down to get that type of player? I could argue that's the way to go. Or if they do pivot to something else, there's only so many things right now that they could really pivot to.
Yeah.
Or they could trade down.
8030550 could trade down.
Trade down.
The draft is a month and a week away. Yeah. Like 5 weeks from tonight?
Yes.
5 weeks from tonight because it's a Thursday. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 weeks. 8030550, our phone number. Jeremy and Joe, give us a ring on anything. We got Shots of Audio brought to you by Outlet Liquor. It's a thing we sometimes do later in the show, but we've got Brian Koziol at 8 and JJ Zachariason, some Dynasty Fantasy talks about these rookie prospects at 9. So Joe Kelly runs it. If you've never heard Shots of Audio, he takes us around the sports world for some interesting audio tidbits that we may have missed and you may have missed. So stick with us. Jeremy and Joe here on WGR. Morning. Do we want to sit? I mean, did you do it all day yesterday, arguing whether or not DJ Moore is better than Jalen Waddle?
We did some of that. I think Jalen Waddle is better than DJ Moore.
I don't even think
that is really debatable.
I also don't think that's like sure. I would of the two.
I think
wouldn't the Bills also like we can just do it this way. The Bills were reportedly going to trade a first for Waddle and it didn't get done. A first.
Yeah, right.
Instead, they trade a net third for Moore. Like who do the Bills think is better?
Right.
The Bills probably couldn't get Waddle because he's in the division. You know,
right.
I know it's the free agency chart we can apply to trades, like who'd the Bills get? Well, that's the best guy. I mean, Waddle is a very good pickup for the Broncos. I think it's fantastic for them.
Yeah, I don't think that's the debate of who's the better player. I think it's what's the better trade. Is he so much better than Moore that a second for Moore or a first and a third, if you take away the day 3 picks out of it, is that a better deal, getting more for a second than having to pay a first and a third for Waddle? And one thing I pointed out is like you have to count the money as well. Like the Bills have like $30 million more that they will have to pay DJ Moore than what the Broncos are on the hook for Waddle, just because there's one more year of the contract with Moore than there is with Waddle. And with Waddle being, I think it's 2 years younger, you don't have as much, I think, of the questions about decline with Moore. So it's a year extra of the contract, all that money, and I'm a little further along in the, well, what does he have left in the tank conversation than I do with Waddle.
It's like a year and a half difference.
Year and a half?
Moore turns 28.
I know. All I saw was that it's 27 versus 29 at the beginning of the year.
Right.
That's right?
Right.
Yeah, okay.
If you want to go age or do you want to go miles on the tires? Waddle came into the league a lot older. Waddle's been in the league 5 years. Moore's been in the league 8 years. So they're only a year and a half in actual age, but in years in the league, they're 3 years apart. So it might feel like DJ Moore's a lot older. Whatever. Moore is going to be 29 in a month, and Waddle turns 28 in November. So
I don't think it's crazy to say I'd rather do the Moore trade because it's only a second, and I don't want to pay a first and a third for Jalen Waddle. But for me, like with the contract added into it, I think the Moore trade is more expensive than, while it's only a second versus a first and a third. Like the contract for Moore is nuts.
The Sabres back in action tonight, continuing their Western road trip in San Jose, taking on the Sharks. Puck drop is set for 10 o'clock. Per our own Paul Hamilton, the Sabres did not practice in San Jose yesterday, so we'll be waiting to find out more on how Alex Tuch is feeling at the morning skate as he's been dealing with an illness. Former Bills defensive end A.J. Epinesa is signing a one-year deal worth up to $5 million with the Cleveland Browns. And around the NFL, ESPN's Kevin Seifert reports the NFL is, quote, laying groundwork for hiring replacement officials for the 2026 season. The Colts signed wide receiver Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, formerly of the Dolphins. The Eagles acquired quarterback Andy Dalton from the Panthers in exchange for a seventh-round pick. The NCAA tournament officially gets underway today around the country in Buffalo, all with estimated start time. Session 1 will see 6-seed Louisville take on 11-seed South Florida at 1:30. 3-seed Michigan State take on number 14-seed North Dakota State around 4:05. And in Session 2, 1-seed Michigan takes on 16-seed Howard at 7:10. And following that, 8-seed Georgia will take on 9-seed St. Louis at 9:45 approximately. Those are your Paddock Chevrolet sports headlines. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Joe Kelly on Western New York's Voice of the Fans, WGR.
Tournament day today. Sal and the Northtown Automotive Extra Point Show will be live at Hartman's Distilling from 10 to 12 head of the tournament. So that's cool. Tournament day today, and the first game goes off about 12:15. First game at the arena today is 1:30. The late game, 9:45. Sneaky Joe across here has the ticket to the 9:45 game.
Both the late games.
Bring a sleeping bag. 9:45.
Yeah. They're also pretty close together.
Yeah.
So I think closer than they normally have been. So people will be leaving the first session as people are coming in for the second session, which could create interesting traffic dynamic.
All right, we're going to play a quick little game, then get to a phone call, then get to shots of audio. I've asked, we remember some guys for the tournament. I have a lot of responses on Twitter. I'm going to just say names, and you guys as the young guys will be like, I don't know who any of these people are.
Nope.
And me and the old crowd, now that I'm old, will remember all these players and have fun with this. So, without further ado, Mateen Cleaves. You know him?
Nope.
Okay.
It's a good name, though.
Michigan State, Mateen Cleaves. Great point guard. Ramil Robinson. Deep pull. You have no prayer on that one.
Nope.
Michigan. They beat Seton Hall in the national championship game. Kevin Pittsnoggle.
Pittsnoggle?
No? Okay, right.
Awesome name.
West Virginia, big man that shot threes. Joakim Noah. You know him?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
I do.
Joaquin Noah.
Steph Curry, of course. Bryce Drew.
I
That's a
know
name
Bryce Drew.
that I've heard.
Bryce Drew is...
But I think because isn't he a coach now?
He probably is.
He's a coach
Bryce Drew
somewhere.
hit the Valparaiso, one of the best game winner buzzer beaters ever. Set play, Valpo.
Yeah.
That's Bryce Drew. Dan Dickow, Kevin Ware. Remember Kevin Ware, everybody?
Yeah, I remember Kevin Ware.
Taylor Coppenrath. Too soon. We don't talk about the Vermont players. Thank you. Keith Smart. Another shot at me. Not appreciated. Glenn Rice was great in the tournament for Michigan.
Yep.
Chris Wilcox. Is that Maryland?
Chris Wilcox.
Corliss Williamson.
That one sounds familiar.
Danny Manning. Harold Arsenault. The O'Bannon brothers. Wally Zerbiak, mentioned him earlier.
Chris Wilcox was Maryland.
Did I say Maryland?
Did you say Maryland?
I said Maryland. Yeah, I think I did. There was another Maryland guy. Juan Dixon, another good one.
Mm-hmm.
Miles Simon. Jim Nantz famous call. Simon Says Championship. Arizona won. Simon and they had another guard there. Marcus Camby. UMass.
Mm-hmm.
All right. There you go. It's remembering some guys. 803-0550, our phone number, and 1-888-550-2550. Larry in South Florida before we do our shots of audio. Larry, good morning.
Hey, good morning, gentlemen. Quick question for you. So let's say, since we don't have a second-round pick, let's say somebody maybe around the 10th, 11th pick in the second round offers Bean to move back into the first. So we give up our 26th pick to go back in the second. What does the trade chart say is ample for us to get back? Is it a second, a third, or is it a second, a fourth, or is it 2 seconds? What do those trade charts say that we should be able to obtain if we did trade out of the first?
It would be, if you're going back like 10 spots roughly, it looks like a third generally is what you should get. Yeah. Or a future second maybe would be the answer too. But
Yeah.
by the value chart, like a third is closer.
Larry hung up. Can I try something on here about the idea? If you think the Bills should trade out of the first round because they traded their second-round pick away, right? Mm-hmm. That's kind of what this is. Yeah. It's, we don't have a second. Let's move out of the first. You want to get a second and a third. It's kind of the mindset of wanting to get that pick that you traded away back. Mm-hmm. All right? If trading your second leads to you trading down out of the first, why don't you just trade your first? Then you would have the second that you're coveting. You would have just traded your first. Because trading your second, then trading out of the first to get a second, it doesn't look as bad as saying trading your first, but you didn't pick in the first round.
Right.
That's all. Not that, like, I'm not saying you even had to do the Waddle trade, but the idea about the Crosby one being too expensive or this or that, this is true for any team. Just if you trade your second rounder away and want to get back into the second by trading away your first, just trade your first and get, I don't know, something better. Any team in the world.
This is just, all of this is just to me why the Moore package is maddening. That it cost a second. Look at all the impact it has. It does make trading down look better. It does.
It does
because you don't have it. It also makes the idea of trading or drafting a receiver in the first round look almost crazy because now I'm investing my biggest contract, my first round pick, and my second round pick all in the same position. But that is because you spent a second to get a guy that shouldn't have cost more than like a day 3 pick. It's just all off season. I think it's going to be tough to figure out how that happened.
So you are not aligned with. A lot of people think that the wide receiver market, the contracts that got signed, the Waddle trade, make you feel better about the DJ Moore. I see a lot of that. Like, oh, you should feel better about because, the Pierce contract, the Dobbs contract, you got more for this, and the market went crazy on receiver. It always goes crazy. It goes crazy on every position. Like, I'm that's one of my consistent takes is like,
but not every guy. I mean, Michael Pittman, you mentioned earlier, went for a day 3 pick swap, and he had more yards last year than DJ Moore did.
Yeah, but I don't want to
with an injury.
I don't want to do just yards. I mean, I want to
catches.
I don't want to do. I don't want to Google stats. Like, really, what I want to do is usage, contract, situation. I think it's entirely possible Moore, given a more central role, could do more than Michael Pittman will do in Pittsburgh. Right? Like,
well, in Pittsburgh, he's not going to do anything.
That's what I mean. Like,
Pittsburgh.
As soon as you do just
but what would he have done here?
But as soon as you do just about the stats, I think you can dismiss offensive fit and how they're going to be used.
But it's the same questions about him that are about Moore. It's you're at an age at 29 years old where I don't know what you have left in the tank, and you have a big contract that I had to figure out and deal with, and that's why he didn't cost as much. It would be the same questions.
Yeah.
If they traded for Michael Pittman, it would be basically the same questions. Right? And would it also be the same projection? It's, well, that guy last year took a little bit of a step back in Indianapolis, but now he's with Josh Allen, and he's going to be the number 1, whereas there he was starting to become more, but it wasn't behind Alec Pierce, but they were using other guys. Tyler Warren was being used a lot more.
I would not have wanted Pittman. I probably prefer Moore over Pittman. I think there's just more explosive.
I do, too.
I think there's more explosiveness to his game.
Too, but I know the price is so different.
For sure. Again, contract matters here too, and that's a big part of this. Like, part of the Waddle trade is Waddle's contract is way better, way more flexible, way cheaper.
Yep,
it's effectively a 2-year, $42 million deal that the Broncos get for him. So again, like, just bringing up why did this one package cost more and why did this one cost less, or why does this one look better? It's player, contract situation, all that good stuff. Anyway, 803-0550, the phone number.
It's no doubt, like, you're right, like the receiver market as a whole, Pittman kind of is over to the side. The rest of it has been very expensive.
It always is.
Yeah, I mean, what Pierce got is expensive. The Moore trade is expensive. The Waddle trade is expensive. Like, it is kind of all in line other than the couple of other moves that you had over here that are more in the discount bin. Like, the Giants got Calvin Austin and Darnell Mooney for like $6 million total. Like, you can find your bargain bin stuff, too.
I don't know. I got a name, a guy the Bills have met with. I'm going to check some more mock drafts to see where he's projected to go. But Jay-Sean Barham of Michigan. They met with him at the Combine. Edge rusher, speed guy. Like, put him on the radar. I don't know if he makes it to the third round, but this kind of gets to, can I trade out of the first? Do I trade up? Is trading up off the table because I don't have a second?
I think so.
Okay.
I mean, it's less on the table.
Okay.
It feels less on the table.
But trading down because it does make things more interesting. Anyway, 803-0550. We're gonna move shots of audio to 8:30. Yeah,
they're 28th in draft capital.
Yeah,
it's tougher for you.
A lot of that's
to
because
move up because you don't have as much to bid with as like New England's got. Well, I mean, how much your fourth's going to matter? But they have extra fourths and they have their second. Like if they wanted to move up in front of you, they have more to do it with. So it's going to be tougher even if you want to do it.
803-0550 is our phone number, and 1-888-550-2550. Jeremy and Joe. Tournament starts today. Remembering some guys. I got an Aaron Kraft reference. That's one of those ones I forgot who that was, and I looked it up and saw him in Ohio State jersey, and he was one of those guys that was on the team that beat Syracuse.
Can you name any player in this tournament?
In this tournament?
Yeah. Like, do you know who the best player in this tournament is?
The best player.
I only know because I know who's supposed to go number 1 overall in the NBA draft.
Who's that?
Cameron Boozer.
Okay, yeah, Carlos Boozer's son.
For Duke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know that Michigan and Duke and Arizona, Michigan and Duke are, like, supposed to be dominantly great. They both have been all year.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, you got your blue bloods in there.
Colorado State, Michigan State. Looking at also the matchups today. Oklahoma, Idaho.
Mm-hmm.
The Vandals.
Who's going to be like the memorable name? Yaxel Lendenborg.
That's a good one.
He's the 4th ranked player in this tournament according to ESPN for Michigan.
Yaxel.
Into it.
We'll get a break in.
LeBaron Fillon is another one. Fillon.
Brian Koziol checks in from KeyBank Center. Oh, well, maybe not from KeyBank Center right now, but again, Sal's going to be broadcasting live at Hartman's from 10 to 12. Tournament day at the arena, and we'll get Brian Koziol on the tournament, the matchups we're going to see today at KeyBank Center, and also the Sabres, who are out west in San Jose trying to continue their winning ways. Jeremy and Joe here on WGR. Observation. You tell me if you notice this too. Observation. The Bills are obviously very public right now. Like Bean and Brady, they're a lot of places doing a lot of interviews, and I think fans enjoy that and appreciate hearing from the GM and hearing from the coach. They like to, or they seem to, consistently present how close different outcomes are all the time. It's, we wanted to make a trade. We didn't make a trade. We wanted Crosby. Didn't do that. Maybe it would have gone differently. We wanted Hendrickson. Couldn't do that. We didn't think we were going to get Knox. Turns out we did. Over and over and over again, it really is a consistent message that a lot of these decisions could go either way. And this is how we got here. But it really could have gone either way. Here's the head coach thinking Dawson Knox was maybe not going to come back. So were those negotiations a little more contentious than we think? They got him back. Connor McGovern was almost gone.
Right, hadn't talked to the GM since the end of the season.
And then the quarterback gets involved and makes a phone call on both sides and kind of bridges the gap. So how so many of their moves seem to be very close to being other moves. Just an observation.
Right.
They like to kind of point that out. That and that's the draft too, is it not? The draft is
definitely
all the time.
Draft.
Like why you go up a couple of picks, because I don't think we were going to get this player, whether it's the Kincaid pick or if it's, it's just so many moves are so close to being another move, and I feel like I want to appreciate that that's probably very true of most teams, but I don't know how often other teams are willing to tell you that.
Does it serve them well to be telling people this often that they are in on the big moves and not getting it done? Because part of me thinks, I don't think you want to tell people that over and over and over. We tried on this guy, didn't happen. We tried on this guy, didn't happen. We tried on this guy, didn't happen. Especially when they're all like good players, like top players.
Right.
Like it's Waddle and it's Max Crosby and it's Hendrickson, and there are examples in the past that they've talked about. I think was there Was there a McCaffrey story at one point? Maybe that was just that they called.
Maybe.
Not that they
were linked to running backs all the time until Cook's breakout.
But the other part of me thinks maybe that is good for you, that it's better for you than the alternative, which is people thinking that you're not even trying on these things. Like, you want them to get the job done and get the deals done on top players, but not telling anybody that you were even in on it. Well, then I'd think of, like, well, that's what Kevin Adams did, right?
Yeah.
And what was the reputation there? Well, you're not even trying anymore to get these
Kevin
players.
Adams was.
And that's not a good look either if people think you're not even making the call and making an attempt.
Yeah. Hey everybody, Jeremy and Joe here on WGR. Brian Koziol in about 10 minutes on the tournament and the Sabres in San Jose. I saw this song came out 41 years ago today.
Great song.
Yeah, which leads me to a bunch of other This Day in Histories that I found that are kind of interesting. And
what's going on in the song, though, right here? There's an instrument that doesn't seem to belong.
This is the 80s.
Yeah, but
synthesizers. They just like play
No. Is this a remix of some? This is the one? Really?
Tears for Fears official YouTube channel, yeah.
There seemed like I heard a horn in there.
Yeah, that's going to be the synthesizer. Oops, sorry.
I like that. That I know is not in the song.
That's true. So, a couple things. One, this day in history, the Sabres beat the Leafs in the game 14-4. And
wow.
I've also got that Brett Hull on this day in history scored his 80th goal in a season. Imagine if that happened now.
80 goals in a season.
80 goals in a season.
Didn't Matthews come close a couple years ago?
68 or 69?
He got
had
to
68 or 69. Yeah,
he had 69. Oh, he was going for 70.
Yeah, it was 70.
Meanwhile, the conversation in Toronto, I watched a panel yesterday say they don't know what Austin Matthews is anymore. Like the team is so broken.
Trade him.
They don't even know.
He's turned into
Blow
a
it up.
defensive Patrice Bergeron guy.
Yeah.
Blow it up, Toronto.
Anymore.
All right, 803-0550. Mark in Buffalo. We have time for another call here. Hanging out. Talking Bills, talking, a little bit of Sabres here. Good morning, Mark.
Morning. I just want to preface this with I am a Bills optimist, and then if I'm not optimistic about it, I'm a wait and see. I'm never down on them, quite honestly.
Yeah.
So I just want to put that out there to begin with. With a DJ Moore move, to me, it just looks like he was targeted. Obviously, Joe Brady wanted him. I would imagine that. I know they were, quote-unquote, in on A.J. Brown, but we didn't really hear a lot of noise about them wanting to go get other receivers. And I just feel that DJ Moore was somebody they targeted. So, okay, maybe the Bears saw that. Maybe the Bears knew that. Maybe they had to pay a little more. Also, I think, especially after targeting, we knew they had targeted Jalen Waddle last year. I think that Miami would have made them pay more than Denver paid. And there's just so much we don't know about the situation. Maybe Denver was in on DJ Moore. We just don't know what they paid or what they would have had to pay to get in that situation. But what it comes down to, you have a known commodity. As far as Joe Brady, that's his guy. He knows him. And we went through this situation with McDermott. He brought in his guys. He knew them.
Yeah.
He would play, instead of playing rookies, he was playing the guy that was from his defense 5 years ago, and he knew him, and he could trust him, and so on and so forth. So I would like to give somewhat of that levity to Joe Brady and be like, no, this guy, DJ Moore, that he had his best years under Joe Brady. Let's give him the chance. Now, I know we can say this, well, Curtis Samuel. I wouldn't say Curtis Samuel's issue here in Buffalo was his lack of production it was his inability to get on the field. And I think that hurt his continuity as far as that goes. So as far as it with the DJ Moore, yeah, the numbers aren't great. But ultimately, Joe, I hear you talking about, well, with Jalen Waddle, it's a 2-year deal. Essentially, it's a 2-year deal. It's kind of the same way with DJ Moore as well. It's a 2-year deal. Well, they're going to have dead cap. They're going to have $13 million dead cap. That's going to be on it. But if he is so horrendous, if it is so bad that they have to part ways with him, they're not paying the $28 million that third year. So I do get what you're saying. You are taking a hit. But if it is so essentially bad that they have to part ways from it, which I do not think is going to happen, they can get out of the deal per se. Now they will have a
You saying the Bills?
They guaranteed his money in 28.
The Bills cannot get out of the DJ Moore deal without a massive cap hit.
Anybody could get out of anything. The Dolphins can get out of the Tua contract with $90 million paid. You can get out of anything. And also, they might have targeted DJ Moore in the offseason, but Tom Pelissero reported they offered a first and 27 for Waddle at the trade deadline. So if they had said yes to that, then none of this would be happening.
That is, and I agree to that, but obviously the Dolphins, their whole situation has changed now. The price is going to go up, and they also know there's more people out for them. We don't know what's going to happen at certain points, and I did reference that. They wanted Jalen Waddle. I agree to that, and I wish, because as we remember, they were trying to send next year's, apparently 2027 first-round pick instead of this year's. Had they would have offered this year's, the Bills would have gotten him. So I get all of that. And what I'm saying is with that, yes, there's going to be picks. And obviously, guys, I'm not an expert. I'm a cap expert. I'm going off of what Spotrac says. So what Spotrac says is in 2 years, it's a $13 million dead cap to a $28 million cap hit. So that's what I'm going at. So I could be wrong with that. I know they guaranteed it, but I don't know if it's cap hit or just cash that they have to give him.
Thanks, Mark. We got to run. Dead cap, whatever. He's going to be here more than 2 years, I think, because they're going to restructure him next year. That's the point. Sorry. Right. It says 13 now. They're going to restructure him next year because he's on the books for 29 next year.
Right.
So you might as well book another restructure. Brian Koziol on the Sabres and the tournament next.
I would ask, what has New England done that really impresses you this offseason that the Bills haven't done? That's been part of, I have not been impressed by the Bills offseason. I have been equally unimpressed by New England's offseason.
They added a receiver. They added a guard.
They added a receiver probably the same caliber, probably even maybe worse than what the Bills added. And they added a lineman, it's Bradley Chubb, Elijah Vera Tucker. That's your next biggest move. They didn't add a whale. They haven't added this giant room of stud players with all their cap space.
I think
this offseason, they might add A.J. Brown still.
Yeah, they had a receiver with more upside. That doesn't mean he will hit that upside.
He's fine. Dobbs is fine. He's fine.
A lot of people,
a stud number one receiver.
A lot of people like him to be a really strong number two, and they paid him number two money.
Is he better than DJ Moore? They're in the same tier, aren't they? There's nothing they've done that is more impressive to me than what the Bills have done.
The safety they got's better.
Mike Brown.
No, Kevin Byard. They signed
Kevin
an all-pro safety. That's better than just a 1 year guy that
Mike Brown's the other safety they signed. Okay, they signed a safety and they signed Reggie Gilliam.
Yeah, they took Reggie Gilliam from you.
It's not, to me, that impressive.
Well, they beat you last year once. Morning. Do we want to sit? I mean, did you do it all day yesterday, arguing whether or not DJ Moore is better than Jalen Waddle?
We did some of that. I think Jalen Waddle is better than DJ Moore.
I don't even think that is really debatable.
I
also don't think that's like sure. I would of the two.
I think
wouldn't the Bills also like we can just do it this way? The Bills were reportedly going to trade a first for Waddle and it didn't get done. A first.
Yeah, right.
Instead, they trade a net third for Moore. Like, who do the Bills think is better?
Right.
The Bills probably couldn't get Waddle because he's in the division. You know,
right.
I know it's the free agency chart we can apply to trades, like who'd the Bills get? Well, that's the best guy. I mean, Waddle is a very good pickup for the Broncos. I think it's fantastic for them.
Yeah, I don't think that's the debate of who's the better player. I think it's what's the better trade. Is he so much better than Moore that a second for Moore or a first and a third, if you take away the day 3 picks out of it, is that a better deal, getting more for a second than having to pay a first and a third for Waddle? And one thing I pointed out is, like, you have to count the money as well. Like, the Bills have like $30 million more that they will have to pay DJ Moore than what the Broncos are on the hook for Waddle, just because there's one more year of the contract with Moore than there is with Waddle. And with Waddle being, I think it's 2 years younger, you don't have as much, I think, of the questions about decline with Moore. So it's a year extra of the contract, all that money, and I'm a little further along in the, well, what does he have left in the tank conversation than I do with Waddle.
It's like a year and a half difference.
Year and a half?
Moore turns 28.
I know. All I saw was that it's 27 versus 29 at the beginning of the year.
Right.
That's right?
Right.
Yeah, okay.
If you want to go age or do you want to go miles on the tires? Waddle came into the league a lot older. Waddle's been in the league 5 years. Moore's been in the league 8 years. So they're only a year and a half in actual age, but in years in the league, they're 3 years apart. So it might feel like DJ Moore's a lot older. Whatever. Moore is going to be 29 in a month, and Waddle turns 28 in November. So
I don't think it's crazy to say I'd rather do the Moore trade because it's only a second, and I don't want to pay a first and a third for Jalen Waddle. But for me, like, with the contract added into it, I think the Moore trade is more expensive than, while it's only a second versus a first and a third. Like, the contract for Moore is nuts.
The Sabres back in action tonight, continuing their Western road trip in San Jose, taking on the Sharks. Puck drop is set for 10 o'clock. And per our own Paul Hamilton, the Sabres did not practice in San Jose yesterday, so we'll find out more on how Alex Tuch is feeling at the morning skate as he's been dealing with illness. Former Bills defensive end A.J. Epinesa is signing a one-year deal worth up to $5 million with the Cleveland Browns. And around the NFL, ESPN's Kevin Seifert reports the NFL is laying groundwork for hiring replacement officials for the 2026 season. The Colts signed wide receiver Nick Westbrook-Akeen, formerly of the Dolphins, and the Eagles acquired quarterback Andy Dalton from the Panthers in exchange for a 7th-round pick. The NCAA tournament officially gets underway today around the country. In Buffalo, all with estimated start times, 6-seed Louisville takes on 11-seed South Florida at 1:30. 3-seed Michigan State takes on 14-seed North Dakota State around 4:05. And Session 2 begins. Number 1-seed Michigan takes on 16-seed Howard at 7:10. And 8-seed Georgia takes on 9-seed St. Louis at 9:45. Join Bulldog and WGR in the fight against cancer by riding with the WGR Ride for Roswell team on Saturday, June 27th. When you sign up, you'll get a rider gift from WGR and Tom's Pro Bike on Walden Avenue in Lancaster. Not riding? You can still make a difference by donating to any of our team members. Every dollar goes directly to Roswell Park. Get all the details at WGR550.com. It's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet, with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Joe Kelly on Western New York's Voice of the Fans, WGR.
Pete Gwelly of the Bills and Sabres on showcasing Buffalo, the men's basketball tournament to KeyBank Center, of course, and off and running today with South Florida, Louisville, North Dakota State, Michigan State in the early slate, and then Michigan, Howard, and St. Louis and Georgia. So 4 games today, KeyBank Center. Joining us on the Western Hotline is Brian Koziol, host of Tee to Green, a Sabres intermission and postgame host and pregame host as well, and also covering the games for us to a degree at KeyBank Center. Brian, good morning.
Good morning, guys. Happy March Madness Day.
Happy March Madness. We've got a lot to get to with you. I mean, you're kind of jack of all trades for us here. So we're going to do some basketball, we'll do some hockey as well, maybe mix in some golf at the end. But, it's every couple years this tournament comes back, and sometimes we get memorable moments. We had somebody call earlier today, Pepperdine beating Bobby Knight, right, in Indiana, and Virginia Commonwealth beating Duke here in Buffalo. I'm, of course, partial to Syracuse blowing out Gonzaga in a game here in Buffalo. So it's back, and we await perhaps some great drama in these 4 games.
Yeah, it seems as though now Buffalo's become a regular in terms of the rotation of getting first and second round games. Every 3 to 4 years, it becomes a host site. It has done a very, very good job hosting. It seems as though the attendance is one of the best ones, usually always in these first and second round games, where sometimes it's hard. You watch some of these early games today, and you'll maybe see some empty seats because, it's a work day, and there's games that are happening at 12 and 1 o'clock in the afternoon. But Buffalo usually delivers with good support and good attendance. Every time it's been here, I have been there in some capacity. And you mentioned VCU beating Duke. I saw a video early this week. I saw your tweet about coming up with names, and in terms of a Buffalo connection, that when the games were here, Eric Maynor, the guard from VCU, that hit the game-winning shot against Duke, that game was incredible. Just how the crowd, it was obviously super exciting that Duke was here, and whether you like Duke or you hate Duke, it's kind of like for college basketball, it's like the Yankees coming in. Like it is an interesting team always. They're always got a lot of attention, and Coach K's on the sidelines. And as that game was going on and you realize, hey, VCU is hanging and got a shot here, and oh my God, they could win, the crowd that, even if they were neutral, all of a sudden, like, you start to hear them pulling more and more and more for VCU, to the point where in the final minutes it almost felt like a home game. And then they end up winning at the end. And ironically enough, another connection to a local school, Greg Paulus, who's Niagara's coach, played for Duke that day and had one of his greatest games of his collegiate career. He had 25 points. That was the most he's ever had in a game. He actually had a half quarter at the buzzer that could have went in. It was close, but he had a really good game for Duke that day. But yeah, that for me, there's been some really, really good games. We've had some really great teams here, including a team that's gone on to win a national title, like UConn, come to Buffalo. Villanova's been very good that's come here. St. Joe's, when they were a 1 seed, 20-some years ago, came here. But in terms of like one game that sticks out to me, it's the VCU over Duke game. I think, to me, is the one that I'll remember the most.
Was that a 5-12? Was Duke a 5 that year?
It was a 6-11 game.
Okay,
Duke was a 6, so they were down a little bit more than maybe what they normally are. Right. As they're always usually a perennial power and a very good seed normally.
In terms of the teams today, Brian, is anyone catching your eye that you're most interested in?
Yeah, Michigan State, to me, and Tom Izzo, it's a headliner for sure. A Hall of Fame coach, and that team is always a team that seems to maybe even overperform in the tournament, depending upon maybe what their regular season was. He seems to get these guys to play so hard. So that's a team I think that today I'll be curious about. They've had a little inconsistent end to their season, but in general, they have been ranked somewhere close to the top 10 almost all season. So I think that's a team I'll be really interested to watch. The South Dakota State team that they're going to play, they've got, North Dakota State team. North Dakota State. I'm sorry, that they're going to play. I've only seen them maybe for like a half, so I don't have as much to say about that matchup maybe necessarily, but I'm really curious to see about what the Spartans do maybe going forward out of this region. The South Florida Louisville game is first. I know, Brian Hodson, the coach that has UB ties, Western New York ties. Maybe some people have seen the story this week about his father not being able to see him coach as a head coach, and today's going to be the day. He's obviously got connections with Syracuse, and I know, Jeremy, I'm sure you're following the Syracuse coaching search kind of closely. If you would have told me at any point in my life that a South Florida coach might turn down the Syracuse basketball job. Like, that just seems insane to me. And I mean, I guess good for him that he's got options, but like that just doesn't sound right. That a South Florida coach would say, no, I'm not interested in coaching Syracuse basketball. Like that. And watching the Big East tournament last week, like I loved those days of Syracuse and watching Pitt too. Like even Louisville coming in, they were in the Big East during those times. So I mean, some of these programs that have left the Big East that have gone obviously for football reasons to the ACC. For most of them, the move for basketball, it has not been successful.
Yeah. Brian, the times of these games today, the first game is 1:30, and how do you remember exactly like how much time between the first and second, and then the second game and the third second, the second game,
sessions,
that's when the session switches. Everybody leaves, and then everybody comes back in because some people have tickets to one session, not the other. And the thing about all this is you can really kind of go downtown if you're looking to go to these games. Go down there and look for people maybe selling a ticket, especially after tonight. Like if your team gets knocked out, you might have the ability to kind of get secondhand tickets on the secondhand market. So, like if you're looking to be spontaneous, this tournament is a good thing to do in the early rounds to do that.
Yeah, especially if you get one of the teams that may be favored to play this weekend lose. Like let's just say Michigan State or Louisville loses in this afternoon session today. I mean, some of those fans might say, all right, we're out of here. Like, we're not going to go to Saturday and watch this team that beat our team because they're here. Maybe they've gone to maybe some of these boosters and supporters, they've gone to their games all year. Some people obviously are in for the weekend to go to the event. But if you're here for Louisville and they lose, I mean, I would guess there'd be Louisville fans that have Saturday tickets that would be looking to dump them for anything just so they can get something for them because maybe they're like, we're going to go back home tomorrow instead. So I think you're right. I think there's an opportunity to get tickets for sure for that sort of thing. It's going to be tough in between today. If you are planning on making it a long day and going to both sessions, the later start time with it being at 1:30, second game is scheduled for just after 4 o'clock. I mean, which means that's going to end just a little after 6. Again, that's assuming the first game ends on time. Yeah. There is no overtime. I mean, 4:05, I know normally they allot 2 hours for a college basketball game, so that would get you to 6:05. And then the next game with Michigan and Howard is scheduled for 7:10. So you literally have an hour, again, assuming that everything ends on time. In between, I don't know how the arena is going to get that cleared out and then back in time. I mean, obviously these teams are in there warming up. Fans want to get in there early, maybe see their team. It's logistically, I don't know. I know TV is everything, and that's all that matters. They want Michigan at 7 o'clock for CBS, but it just seems like, well, they should have played the 2 Buffalo games in the afternoon a little bit earlier to allow for that to happen. And I know, they're not making this decision with thinking, ooh, how are people going to get dinner in between? Like, unfortunately for local businesses, it probably is a negative that they're so tight in between.
Yeah, right. There's not enough time. I mean, really, too, it's funny, like, how someone could treat it. If you're going to the early session and, like, parking could become a thing because if I'm there at the early session, people are coming in for the late session when I get out. What might I do? I might think, like, I'm just going to walk somewhere and hang out for an hour or two until they're all cleared out. So it's an interesting dynamic that we don't get here. Well, I guess we get it every couple years, right? But this is maybe tighter than we've ever had it.
Yeah, I don't ever remember it starting after 1 o'clock. Yeah, I always feel like we either had the 12:15 game or the 12:40 game, one of the first two, which allowed for an hour and a half to 2 hours in between sessions. So, but I got to assume it's all television that this is the reason that they wanted it this way, because they have Duke playing in the early window on CBS, and their site then in Greenville, those games are going to start early. That's why the TCU Ohio State game is the first one, because I think they want Duke on CBS early. So all TV, no surprise. Yep. But in the end, it's going to be, if you're going to all 4, just have a plan. If you're now again, the game coming back is Michigan and Howard at 7:10. So probably, unfortunately, that's the game that if you miss the start, that could be maybe the least competitive of the 4 today. So That one, if you go to dinner and you come back and it's like mid first half, who knows? It could be over already at that point.
I wonder if they have like data on percentage of people that actually go to all 4 games, or if they kind of know it's fine. The people that go to all 4 tend to leave for an hour and a half or 2 hours anyway. Yeah. Like, all right, do I want to make the Michigan-Howard game? All right, then I'll leave the second game a little early, make sure I can go out and get something to eat. I don't know. We'll see. But it'll be exciting. Like, it'll be busy downtown. You see a lot of gear, whether it's Michigan State gear or Michigan, it's to me, the tournament is always about walking around downtown, seeing people from around the world that have come in. The good news is it's not snowing, right?
Yeah.
But they're getting,
it is cold.
They're getting some March Buffalo weather. High of 44 today, 49 over the weekend. So, it's fine.
The only good thing is, I guess, is that probably a bulk load are coming from the state of Michigan with both Michigan State and Michigan here, and they're probably not coming from 80 and sunshine, so they're not going to be walking in like, oh my God, what is this? So
not a bad trip for them. It makes for a long day. Anybody going to the 4 games? It's also a long day if you're Brian and you're going to make this Sabres game tonight, which is a 10 o'clock puck drop against San Jose, Brian. So Sabres after dark, and I guess one thing I would want to ask you is. Sabres After Dark in years past, are you alone in a lighthouse? And now you have a lot of people staying up with you to be listening to postgame and kind of take these games in.
It's amazing how when I would be doing a game like this and, doing postgame at 12, whatever, a.m., that it did feel like I was talking to myself or with Paul. And now all of a sudden I'm like, oh, wow, you're awake. I'm getting texts at 12:30 a.m. from people like, what a game. I can't believe they held on, that sort of thing all the time. Yeah, it has been obviously such a wild turnaround. For me, even the off nights now have been so good in the sense that like there's seemingly always multiple games that we're watching on the out of town scoreboard. That has been something that I forgot how fun it is that the other games we can pay attention to too, because now they matter. So even last night I'm sitting there, I was watching a little of Carolina and Pittsburgh had a 5-4 lead late, and I'm sitting here thinking, this is the Buffalo's chance tomorrow. They can, go fully ahead of Carolina. Not having to worry about tiebreakers or points percentage or anything of that. And then the Canes scored 1 late, and then, of course, they scored 1 late in overtime, too. So a 2-point gap now for Buffalo there. But, wow, how amazing it is that we're sitting here thinking about not only number 1 in the Atlantic, but number 1 overall in the entire Eastern Conference. I don't even know how much it really matters. I think just the symbolism of the fact that we're sitting here watching them try to race for the top when just on December 9th they were sitting in dead last in the entire conference.
Do you feel like they can win it all? Are you at that point?
I think so. I think, the NHL is probably as ripe for any sports league in terms of the favorites not pushing through in the playoffs. I think it's just more difficult. Like the 6 beating the 3 or the 7 beating the 2, or I know the seedings in the NHL is a little jacked up because of how they do it, which is silly. But yes, the favorites, it's harder for the favorites to go through like it might be in other, I guess, playoff formats in other sports. However, with that being said, somebody has to go through. And if you sit there and say, okay, well, who are the teams that you would put your money on to do it? I mean, how is Buffalo not in that conversation? They've played the best teams very well. They've played Tampa very well. Even Carolina, a team that forever has given them struggles. Even this year, they've played them tight. Even in one of their losses, a 2-1 loss, it was a very, very tight game, which I thought maybe they were even the better team, and they got goalied in that game. Even a team like Colorado that looks, impossible earlier in the season when they were like 31-2 and 7 or something like that. Like, they have come back a little. They're still playing great, but they've played Dallas great. They've played Minnesota great. I mean, just, thinking of the best teams in the NHL. So why not have it be Buffalo? I mean, somebody's got to come through. This team has not lost 2 in a row in forever. So they've just figured out ways to be able to play against these best teams. They're playing third period so smartly. That's one thing that's been obvious over this trend. They know how to play with a lead. They know how to handle even just a 1-goal edge, the ability to handle pressure. I love what Beck Malenstein said. It was after a game a few weeks ago. A reporter from out of town said, hey, we're seeing you guys for the first time. Like, what has been the big reason? And he said it was a twofold answer. He said, defensively, we know how to make decisions and how to handle the pressure so much better than we have in the past. And he says it's everybody. And then he said on the other side, on the offensive side, he said our willingness to be at the net, around the net, and win battles to be in position to score goals, he said, has been a big thing. And he says everybody's gotten on board with that. And I think that's been evident when we've been watching these games. They've been getting great goaltending, too, for sure. But I think overall, some of those things that Malenstein said, I think, has been on display for sure. And it's been obviously adding up in the standings.
That has been maybe the most incredible thing is that, like, you look now at, like, goals saved above expected, and you can argue that they have the best goalie duo in the league this year. Like, I don't know if that'll continue into the playoffs, but Luukkonen and Lyon now statistically are, like, both in the top 15 amongst all goalies in the league. And how many teams are going to have two guys like that?
It really is amazing. And this system of rotating and letting them even rest on nights when Ellis dresses as the backup has worked out tremendously. Alex Lyon has said, he loves the way this setup is for him. He can mentally prepare for the next game. He doesn't even have to get into backup to prepare to play. I mean, it's as the whole first 3 months of this season played out, and to me, it was viewed as a negative storyline of, my goodness, Lindy's not managing the goalies right. You're starting the wrong guy tonight. Hey, you're taking up a roster spot that somebody else that maybe is deservingly to be playing, but you've got 3 goalies, and all of a sudden now it's turned into what has been a bonus and a positive that these guys, Lyon and Luukkonen, are thriving on this setup. I still think Luukkonen, if you read between the lines of some of the things he's saying, he would love to play more, but I think he realizes I really have no leg to stand on at this moment because it is working and it's working flawlessly. And Lindy, who in his previous tenured times with the Sabres really hasn't had much of, I guess I would say, a decision. He had Ryan Miller and he had Dominic Hasek through almost his entire tenure as a Sabres head coach. So managing a goalie, like, it wasn't that hard. It was, okay, play again, Dom, play again, Hasek, you're in net. This is how it worked. And now he's figured out a way that it's worked. I'm very, very curious to see if he would continue it into the postseason. And would he continue to go every other game at that point? I mean, for me, if Alex Lyon was incredible in game 1 and, he let in 1 goal and they won a game 3-1, like, to be tempted to come back with him in game 2 when you do have a day in between. Usually all playoff series, you've got a day in between games. Or do you go right back to Luukkonen and just keep going it that way? I think that'll be an interesting thing to talk about when we get closer to playoff series.
Brian Koziol on the Western Hotline. Brian, what's the proper race to be watching right now? Is it getting in, clinching? Is it the division? Is it the conference? I mean, when we're talking out-of-town scoreboard, it feels like, Owen was tracking that and tweeting that every day about the out-of-town scoreboard. What games, what teams are you actually watching, and which race are you watching?
It is intriguing because the first team out is not that still far away from anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, Columbus with 81, and, I guess Ottawa now lost, but Columbus with 81 is the first team out. I mean, legitimately, they are not that far away from Buffalo. Now, they'd go up the Metro first. So, in some sense, that's a good thing if Columbus is there. Ottawa, then, I guess, really is the first team that could, I guess, ultimately catch you if you fell back. But if you're thinking about Atlantic race. But I guess for me, it's still Tampa, Montreal, and still the thought of, I think the 1 seed in the entire conference would be nice, but I think winning the Atlantic to me is important because it avoids then you playing Tampa or Montreal, assuming they are the 2 and 3. I think that Tampa for the Sabres would still be a matchup I'd like to avoid in round 1. I know that ultimately you still have to play them at some point, but I think a successful season would be that the Sabres advance at least through a round with where we are now. I think obviously our thoughts on maybe what is a successful season has changed because they've gotten themselves into such a good position. I think a matchup with Boston or Detroit or Columbus would be, I guess, on paper somewhat attractive.
Yeah.
I think Detroit would be the one team if I could pick one, even just because I think there's some interesting storylines between those teams that if I could pick one. So it's still, for me, rooting against Tampa every single opportunity to making sure that the Sabres stay in 1 in the Atlantic.
So can I give you the numbers on this? Like right now, Columbus is the first team out, but they are actually up on point percentage.
Oh, yeah,
because
Detroit, you're right.
They have a game in hand.
Yeah.
Just going by point percentage, and that's Boston and Detroit. The last spot right now looks like it will have. Have you seen the number of points we're trending towards? 99
in the East.
In the East,
yeah.
We could have it where all 8 teams that make the playoffs are 100-point teams. The Sabres have been obviously red hot. Columbus has been red hot too of late. They have no regulation losses in their last 10 games, and early in the season, the East looked like it was gettable, right? Everyone's close together. And now that whole group of 8 teams could all find their way over 100 points. So it's been wild.
You know how different that is in the West? You know what the West is on pace for right now?
The 8th place team?
Yeah.
Was it like 90?
86.
Yeah, right.
86 points right now.
Yeah.
Is what they're on pace for.
Well, Brian, enjoy tonight. I know you're staying up late.
Do you want to end on some college basketball trivia?
Yes. I'd love to.
Can either of you name the 2 teams that won the national championship and began their tournament in Buffalo?
Oh, no.
No chance? And here's your hint.
All right, UConn for sure, one of them.
UConn.
And is it Vijay Wright's Villanova's team?
Nope, it's a trick question. It's UConn, and it's UConn again.
Oh, UConn twice.
2004 UConn and 2014 UConn. Both began in Buffalo and won the national championship. They won here in overtime in 2014. They beat St. Joe's in the first round, won in OT, went on to win the national championship.
Now I'm trying to remember, and I guess I do know the answer to this. My favorite team won the championship once. Do I know where they played the whole way through? And I think Syracuse opened in Boston, then went to Albany, and then the Final Four is New Orleans.
Okay.
But I'm not.
I knew the Syracuse ending was in New Orleans.
Yeah,
I knew that.
in New Orleans. And definitely the regionals were in Albany because they played Oklahoma. It was like a home game. They played in Albany.
Right.
And I think the first round was Boston, but I could be wrong about that. That's far enough back when they didn't have the cookie cutter courts, Brian. You'd have the court that you play on, and it was just, you could now I think it's harder than ever to remember where a team would have played.
They all look the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only difference on the courts now is that they have just the one striping color. Like, I think the East regions get red, and like the South regions get green, and all that.
And then they have the city name and lettering
city name on the top.
behind the
right.
back. Yeah,
I just checked.
Yeah, you'll see Buffalo on the top, like right at center court today. Other than that, the courts look all the same. Yeah, that VCU Duke game that I was mentioning to you that was in Buffalo, that was when it was the HSBC arena, and the court had about 6 different shades of blue. It was not a pretty one to look at.
Yeah. Confirming TD Garden for Syracuse in 2003. So I do remember when my team won the locations that it happened, but no one else.
Brian, so UConn would probably remember Buffalo then, because twice.
They
happened twice.
They probably would. Brian, good luck staying up. You can nap. If that 116 matchup gets boring, just take a nap in your seat. You got a late game tonight for the Sabres.
Yep, looking forward to it. At least 3 hoops games as long as I can stay down there, and then back for Sabres at 10.
Very good. Brian Koziol. Thanks, Brian.
Okay, guys, thanks.
We check in with Brian throughout the tournament. He'll be down there at all the games. Sabres and Sharks tonight. Mm-hmm. I saw the Tage hat, and I had to get one. The Queen City Wagon. Mm-hmm. What a name for this team.
Yeah. The Queen City Wagon.
The Queen City Wagon. Mm-hmm. Just the wagon.
Just the wagon?
Just the wagon. Yeah, they're a wagon.
Yeah, they're a wagon.
That's the whole thing.
Yes.
The Queen City Wagon.
Yeah.
Would you... like to go down the rabbit hole where we imagine that in 2030 they're wearing a jersey that's a wagon.
As an alternate?
And they're the Queen City Wagon. If one city, sports city, can claim wagon and wagons, is it not us? Oklahoma, but whatever.
I was just going to say the Midwest might have something to say.
We've got Circle the Wagons, and we can just claim.
That's true.
I know every sports team can claim to be a wagon. What if we just do it?
Do other sports teams do that?
Yeah, I mean, they're a
someone
wagon? Being a
Oh.
wagon is just very
that's not an us thing.
No, but we could just make it ours.
Yeah, I think the Sooners might have. They already do that, don't they? Go out and they run out in the field. Isn't there a wagon involved?
Yeah, there is.
You want the first Bills home game to be a Buffalo pulling a wagon onto the field?
I worry about the.
Is that an idea?
I worry about the grass surface. I worry about the grass. You don't want to.
That's a new one.
That's right.
We got to worry about what anything will do to the grass.
Those wooden wheels are going to really dig down. I don't want to do that.
Don't have a concert the day before.
They're not going to do any concerts before.
You can't.
Pete Gwelly basically said that the first thing that'll be there will be the blue and red. That's going to be the first.
It'll be the blue and red. Yeah.
There'll be events maybe to get the people familiarized with the building.
No, but I mean because they'll have concerts there eventually.
Right, but not
you have grass now. You got to be careful about when you have the concert.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas I don't think you had to really think about that when you had turf.
And I don't think there's any plan for a concert before the season begins. Like, you're going to start it with football and roll into football for season.
But is there one during the season? Because if they have one, you can't have one on a Saturday before you play a home game on Sunday because you have grass now.
Right. 803-0550. Start of the tournament today. Shots of audio, we had to push it. So Joe Kelly's got that. We'll tour the sports world, get shots of audio from him. I've also got to deliver you my hottest take I have, which is about the threat of replacement officials in the NFL. That came out yesterday from Adam Schefter. The NFL's toying with replacement officials because they're not coming to a labor agreement. I'll spawn my hottest take I've got for you. It's all coming up. And J.J. Zachariason on fantasy football, some rookies, running backs, receivers, quarterbacks, how they all kind of slot in. For those of you in Dynasty Leagues, always a fun conversation. We'll talk to him coming up at 9. If you were to do the Family Feud style, name a Cinderella.
Oh.
Top 5 answers on the board. Name a Cinderella like that took a run. The number one answer, I think, is easy.
Loyola Chicago.
Oh, no. Okay.
Oh, George Mason.
I think George Mason is the most well-known. They made the Final Four, right?
Yeah, but I think so did Loyola Chicago,
Okay.
and that was more recent, which is why that came to my mind.
I think George Mason.
Those are probably the top 2, though.
Yeah.
Because they made it the furthest. What was George Mason as a seed? Were they an 11?
I think they were an 11.
That's what Loyola Chicago was.
And
Sister Jean. Florida Gulf Coast comes to mind for me. They were a 15 seed that won twice.
They were Dunk U. What were they?
Dunk City.
Dunk City.
The dunks they pulled out were unbelievable. They were, I think they beat who was the 2 they beat? Maybe Georgetown was a 2 the year they beat them.
Who did Dunk City beat?
I think it was Georgetown, and they were throwing alley-oops in the second half against Georgetown. It's like, are they going to do this? Are they going to do alley-oop?
Yeah, it was Georgetown.
Oh, Florida Gulf Coast. That was a riot.
The 7th.
That might be my favorite one because they were just dunking all over your face as they were upsetting you.
This was 13 years ago.
Wow, that's.
You feel old for the first time in your life.
I might feel old for the first time in my life. That was 13 years ago?
13 years ago, yeah.
Jeez.
Dunk City beats Georgetown.
And also, Kevin Harlan is on the call of that game, and Kevin Harlan made it so good.
If there's anything you want in life.
I think he shouted, "Look out below," after one of the dunks, and it was awesome.
Kevin Harlan with a basketball game that features a ton of dunks is a match made in heaven.
Yeah. Oh, it was great.
With no regard for human life. Observation. You tell me if you notice this too. Observation. The Bills are obviously very public right now. Like Bean and Brady, they're a lot of places doing a lot of interviews, and I think fans enjoy that and appreciate hearing from the GM and hearing from the coach. They like to, or they seem to, consistently present how close different outcomes are all the time. It's, we wanted to make a trade. We didn't make a trade. We wanted Crosby. Didn't do that. Maybe it would have gone differently. We wanted Hendrickson. Couldn't do that. We didn't think we were going to get Knox. Turns out we did. Over and over and over again, it really is a consistent message that a lot of these decisions could go either way. And this is how we got here. But it really could have gone either way. Here's the head coach thinking Dawson Knox was maybe not going to come back. So were those negotiations a little more contentious than we think? They got him back. Connor McGovern was almost gone.
Right, hadn't talked to the GM since the end of the season.
And then the quarterback gets involved and makes a phone call on both sides and kind of bridges the gap. So how so many of their moves seem to be very close to being other moves. Just an observation.
Right.
They like to kind of point that out. And that's the draft too, is it not? The draft is
definitely
all the time.
Draft.
Like why you go up a couple of picks because I don't think we were going to get this player, whether it's the Kincaid pick or if it's, it's just so many moves are so close to being another move, and I feel like I want to appreciate that that's probably very true of most teams, but I don't know how often other teams are willing to tell you that.
Does it serve them well to be telling people this often that they are in on the big moves and not getting it done? Because part of me thinks, I don't think you want to tell people that over and over and over. We tried on this guy, didn't happen. We tried on this guy, didn't happen. We tried on this guy, didn't happen, especially when they're all like the good players, like top players.
Right.
Like it's Waddle and it's Max Crosby and it's Hendrickson, and there are examples in the past that they've talked about. I think was there a McCaffrey story at one point? Maybe that was just that they called.
Maybe
not that
they were linked to running backs all the time until Cook's breakout.
But the other part of me thinks maybe that is good for you. That it's better for you than the alternative, which is people thinking that you're not even trying on these things. Like you want them to get the job done and get the deals done on top players, but not telling anybody that you were even in on it. Well, then I'd think of well, that's what Kevin Adams did, right?
Yeah.
And what was the reputation there? Well, you're not even trying anymore to get these
Kevin
players.
Adams was,
and that's not a good look either.
Right.
If people think you're not even making the call and making an attempt.
Yeah.
The Sabres back in action tonight, continuing their Western road trip in San Jose, taking on the Sharks. Puck drop set for 10 o'clock per our own Paul Hamilton. The Sabres did not practice in San Jose yesterday, so we'll find out more on how Alex Tuch is feeling at the morning skate coming up in a little bit, as he's been dealing with an illness. Former Bills defensive end A.J. Epinesa signing a one-year deal worth up to $5 million with the Cleveland Browns. And around the NFL, ESPN's Kevin Seifert reports the NFL is laying groundwork for hiring replacement officials for the 2026 season. The Colts, they've signed wide receiver Nick Westbrook-Akeen, formerly of the Dolphins. The Eagles acquire quarterback Andy Dalton from the Panthers in exchange for a 7th-round pick. The NCAA tournament officially gets underway today around the country in Buffalo, all with estimated start times. Session 1 begins with 6-seed Louisville taking on 11-seed South Florida at 1:30. Michigan State, the 3-seed, takes on 14-seed North Dakota State at 4:05. Then Session 2, 1-seed Michigan takes on 16-seed Howard at approximately 7:10. 8-seed Georgia then takes on 9-seed St. Louis around 9:45. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Headlines. Paddock Chevrolet, with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Joe Callie on Western New York's Voice of the Fans, WGR.
Okay, stat of the day. This came from Ian Hartitz, friend of the show, fantasy writer from Matthew Berry's Fantasy Life. This is one that I don't know how we found it, but it's just kind of all right. The NFL record for most games in a regular season with 400 passing yards is 4. Okay?
Okay.
400 yards in a game 4 times. That's the most any quarterback has done it in a single season. 4
in
times.
One season, right. Yeah. Okay.
4 times passing for 400 yards. The first one to do it, Dan Marino. 1984.
Not surprising.
Not surprised.
Yep, he had 5,000 yards.
He passed for 400 yards 4 times. 1984. The second to do it, Peyton Manning. 2013. All-time single-season record for passing touchdowns and yards that year.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense. Mm-hmm. You want to guess who the third one to do it is? 400 yards 4 times.
Is it going to be a weird... Is it like Joe Flacco?
It is not Joe Flacco.
Is it like in that ilk, though? Like it's not Burrow from 2 years ago.
No.
Because Burrow went nuts.
No. You might just kind of guess here like Jameis? No.
Oh, that would be a good guess.
No.
Yeah. No, it's not him.
The answer is stunning to a point, but the note is even more so. It's Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Oh, that's awesome.
He played 5 full games that year.
Well, for who? Tampa.
Tampa.
Yeah, Tampa. He was
5
crazy.
Full games.
Wow.
4 400-yard performances. It's only happened 3 times in NFL history. He did it in 5 games. Full games.
That's incredible.
Yeah, there you go. Stat of the day.
So then he would easily be, that season would have to be the all-time leader in like passing yards per game, given that he didn't play very many.
Stat of the day brought to you by Jan's Smoke Shop 2 and Guest Mart, where everything about Jan's Smoke Shop is smoking. All right. We got to get shots of audio. Let's do it. Joe Kelly runs shots of audio around the world of, the NCAA tournament, the NHL. Too bad we didn't have Gary Bettman saying what he said on audio about the first round of the playoffs. The NHL is run by I
doesn't get it.
Nobody does with the NHL. All right, so shots of audio brought to you by Outlet Liquor. Joe Kelly's going to take us away and deliver us these shots. It's powered by, I should say, Outlet Liquor, the place to buy a case. Take it away, Joe Kelly.
All right. So we've talked about it earlier this week, and I finally found it in clip form. It's been a search, to say the least. Darlene commented on brotherhood earlier in the week, and his answer was beers. So we have it. We have it now.
Drink beer. You know how good the Sabres are right now? Yesterday, I bought 2 third-party inside joke Buffalo Sabres clothing items. What? This hat, the Queen City Wagon hat, and I bought one of those drink beer shirts.
That's awesome.
26 shirts, drink beers. We need songs. We need more songs now. The other thing I heard yesterday, I heard the Oasis song that was up as a finalist for the goal song. And I thought to myself, in 05-06, which this season is starting to mirror 05-06 more and more, right?
Yes, it is.
A complete out-of-nowhere wagon of a team.
Yep.
Holy cow, could they do it? That
everyone kind of loves every player now.
Yeah, that year had multiple songs we identified with the team. There's the Hurricane 2000.
Yep.
There's what they came out on the ice to, A Fortuna, right? There's that.
Yep.
There's the power play songs we remember. They just had a couple. Mm-hmm. And this team, what do we got? Like,
I don't know in terms of songs if we have much.
Right. Hurricane was the broadcast.
Mm-hmm.
That,
Yes.
that was
like the intro to the pregame and the game itself. Yeah.
So we just need some more like songs to just associate with.
Well,
them.
isn't that not happening much because no one really loves the goal song? I don't know that people hate it.
Yeah,
but I think anything could be the goal song when they're winning and you would not hate it. But no one really wanted it, and now it's here, and it's like just kind of there.
Maybe.
So like that's part of it, I think.
We should just be playing Swords.
Do they come out? They've been coming out to different songs too, right? Like they started coming out to Dire Straits
Money
recently.
for Nothing. Money for Nothing is a little bit.
I like that.
Has picked up in a little bit.
But they have only been doing that for what?
That was
since
the Vegas game.
The first game back
they came
at
back.
home.
So since the Olympic break.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was Gift Shop by the Hip before that, which I kind of like better. But
I thought that was awesome. I thought that was awesome too.
I kind of like Gift Shop better.
I do like both.
I thought coming out to the Hip was killer.
It's good because it makes sense for here.
I agree.
I think Dire Straits is kind of a little.
I'm good with
overplayed
both,
at this point, but I preferred the Gift Shop thing. I even am thinking about doing a Gift Shop tattoo to remember.
Wow.
It.
All right.
Just because I want to do I need a new music tattoo. I don't have a hip one.
Thank you for this reminder. Like we do have these.
Yeah.
They're just.
They
need more time to grow a little bit more. All right.
You know the other thing, real quick before we move, that I kept thinking about with the Darlene thing was
about drink beers.
Remember how mad we were at UPL for being out drinking one night early in the season?
Careful with we.
I am not in
I don't think anybody in this room was.
We. None of us were.
No,
but
that's right.
Like the community, and now we're like buying T-shirts with Darlene.
I was mad.
We drink beer.
I was mad because he couldn't make saves for 3 years.
Do they have an instant out? Imagine they're seen out the night before the Sharks game. Like, I heard the Sabres were all out drinking beer. It's like, yeah.
That's the plan.
They're growing the brotherhood.
Right.
Absolutely.
Lay off.
So I thought that was such a funny, people got so mad at that. I think all of us thought, this is so dumb.
Yeah.
But there were people like, what is wrong with them? And now it's like the best thing they could be doing.
Yeah. Next shot.
All right. So a couple weeks ago, Jeremy, you were off this day. We were talking about what foods we could eat for breakfast and what qualifies as a breakfast food. Owen had an interesting take that cereal is just bread and milk, but that's neither here nor there.
Toast and milk.
Toast and milk, that's right.
Toast and milk.
Ovechkin was on a broadcast, and he was asked what he ate for breakfast that morning, and here he goes.
You're legendary in a lot of categories. Everybody knows about your pregame meal for night games. What'd you have for breakfast today, buddy?
Spaghetti with my kids.
Spaghetti.
Mm-hmm.
Cold, do
Fine.
you think?
Cold spaghetti.
I think maybe this was the same day that I had my brother on, Lou, who is notorious for he does not respect the rules of certain foods are only for breakfast and only for lunch. Like he'll eat whatever food at any time of the day.
Completely lawless.
No, he had eaten, I think that day or the day before, like crab salad at like 9 o'clock in the morning.
Wow. All right. Fair enough.
I don't care what time it is. If I want this, I'm eating it.
Yeah.
That's that.
I
That's
thought
spaghetti at probably 8 a.m.
I thought
Ovi.
we should create a segment that whenever someone just like stumbles on a new food take, we like launch in like, oh, hold on, heads up, somebody's got one. We got a live one.
Yeah.
I've got one. Just
You've
throw
got
it in here.
one?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
I made corned beef on St. Patrick's Day. I made corned beef, made it in Instapot, came out amazing. Here's my take on corned beef. I think we remember it as more pungent than it is. I made this corned beef and I ate like, this is amazing. Why am I not eating this way more?
I think it's the cabbage is what people.
That might
it's
be
the association
that might
with the
be
cabbage.
I
smell.
made the cabbage. The cabbage was fine. The potatoes, the carrots, but the corned beef. And the next day, I mean, like,
oh yeah,
we should be making more corned beef.
I got into. I don't know who I was getting into it with.
It was me.
This. It was you.
Yeah, it was me.
I was like, "What are you? It's awesome."
Because I said I couldn't be in the room with it.
Right. It's the.
To that point, I think you think it is different than it is.
Maybe,
Right.
Maybe.
It's the cabbage.
It's just-
Everybody smells the cabbage
It's just
and goes, it
brisket.
stinks.
You just bring in brisket. You're like, wow, brisket's great.
Right.
Brisket is great.
It's just brisket.
It's not just. It's
It's
not
brisket.
exactly the
It's
same.
brisket with mustard seeds. That's it.
That's the thing. Get your mustard seeds away from my brisket. It's fine. I don't think it's worth any of this on either side. I don't think it's just a perfectly fine meal. That's just right down the middle. I don't think it deserves hate, and I don't think it deserves any of the it's the best thing of all time.
My corned beef was good. It was so good the kids liked it. My daughter asked for it in her lunch the next day.
That's big.
And I'm like, I'm not going to do that.
You
for
must have made a really good brisket. Then.
I made a really good corned beef. The
corned
Instapot
beef,
really
I
made it.
mean.
All you do is you put it and turn it on. It was done. It was great. All right, next shot.
All right, we got two more. This one's a quick one. Jordan Spieth was asked, what he'll remember if he'll take away the good things, I guess, and he had a quick response to that.
I heard this.
Later today, will you be able to think mostly about the good stuff and sort of set the finish?
Never. Have you ever played golf?
Will you be able to think about the good things? Never.
Not quite.
I saw that clip. Have you ever played golf? And then, like, he wasn't being a jerk to the guy. He was basically saying, like, yeah, it's just like you. Right. I leave the course. I'm like, I can't believe I hit that shot. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He sounded so jovial saying it. He's like, never. No, what?
Speaking of golf, have you seen Rory's menu for the Masters?
Yes.
Oh, very good.
It looks pretty good.
Very good.
It looks pretty good.
It's corned beef on there?
No, it's not on there. The most Irish thing, I think, might be the sticky toffee pudding for dessert.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
There's
grilled elk sliders. The appetizers are peach and ricotta flatbread, bacon wrapped dates. I feel like everybody's getting the bacon wrapped dates at Augusta. I feel like I've seen that before.
Yeah.
The rock shrimp tempura with a creamy spicy sauce, grilled elk sliders, yellowfin tuna carpaccio, wagyu filet or seared salmon, and then with a traditional Irish something.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I can't remember. I read him explaining all the choices earlier today too. It was, mildly interesting, I guess. I was interested, like, why elk? He was eating elk before the Masters last year, so he was like, I have to honor the elk.
Eat more of them.
But I don't want to make everybody eat elk for the entree because, like, who's doing that?
Honoring.
So he was like, I'm gonna do sliders.
Honoring the elk.
That was
his
plan.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Have you had elk?
I don't know. Maybe.
I think I have.
It's fine.
It's
little
good.
Gamey, little tough. It's good.
It's not something I need to have again, but I would.
No.
That or corned beef. What would you have?
They're right on the same
Just
tier
have
for
corned
me.
beef.
They're on the
Corned
same
beef
tier
is-
for me.
Corned beef is just really good.
It's fine.
All right.
Is that the last shot, Joe?
I got one more.
All right,
one more. This is for the March Madness tournament here. Carrington Keel from Troy. He comments on the team's, I guess, grit and tenacity. He talks about the mantra they take, and it has something to do with stairs.
I saw this.
We try to pride ourselves in being a tough team. That's our motto. Take the stairs, so we try to be tough in every aspect. Tough when we go rebound, tough in the stands playing defense, tough on offense, level-headed.
Take the stairs?
Take the stairs. Take the stairs. Any hotel we're in, no elevators, take the stairs. We always taking the stairs. It's a way of life, honestly.
It's a way of life. Take the stairs.
So the Sabres build brotherhood by drinking beer. This college basketball team does it by climbing stairs.
Well, the big part of this news is they have a game next year at the top of the Burj Khalifa Tower. Like they got to go all the way up. It's no, hey, take the stairs.
5-hour journey.
Wow.
Climbing the mountain.
That's that.
All right, shots of audio.
Sabres don't take the stairs. They rollerblade from Harbor Center to KeyBank Center, and they have
down
to hop,
the bridge.
And they have to hop over that little bump.
Momentum.
They do rollerblade. That is funny.
Awesome.
All right, that's the Outlet Liquor shots of audio, courtesy of Joe Cali. Powered by Outlet Liquor. It's the place to buy a case. Always a good time. What do we got when we get back? I'll give you it's going to be a short segment. Yeah, sure. My spicy take on the NFL replacing their officials.
I would ask, what has New England done that really impresses you this offseason that the Bills haven't done? Like, that's been part of, like, I have not been impressed by the Bills' offseason. I have been equally unimpressed by New England's offseason.
They added a receiver. They added a guard.
They added a receiver probably the same caliber, probably even maybe worse than what the Bills added. And they added a lineman, like, it's Bradley Chubb, Elijah Vera Tucker. That's your next biggest move. Like, they didn't add a whale. They haven't added this giant room of stud players with all their cap space.
I think
this offseason, they might add A.J. Brown still.
Yeah,
but
they had a receiver with more upside. That doesn't mean he will hit that upside.
He's fine. Dobbs is fine. He's not.
He's fine. A lot of people,
a stud number one receiver.
A lot of people like him to be a really strong number two, and they paid him number two money. Like
is he better than DJ Moore? They're in the same tier, aren't they? Like, just there's nothing they've done that is more impressive to me than what the Bills have done.
The safety they got's better.
Mike Brown.
No, Kevin Byard. They signed
Kevin
an
Byard.
all-pro safety. You know, like that's better than just like a one-year guy that.
Mike Brown's the other safety they signed. Okay, they signed a safety and they signed Reggie Gilliam.
Yeah, they took Reggie Gilliam from you.
It's not to me that impressive.
Well, they beat you last year once. Observation. You tell me if you notice this too. Observation. The Bills are obviously very public right now. Like Bean and Brady, they're a lot of places doing a lot of interviews, and I think fans enjoy that and appreciate hearing from the GM and hearing from the coach. They like to, or they seem to, consistently present how close different outcomes are all the time. It's, we wanted to make a trade. We didn't make a trade. We wanted Crosby. Didn't do that. Maybe it would have gone differently. We wanted Hendrickson. Couldn't do that. We didn't think we were going to get Knox. Turns out we did. Over and over and over again, it really is a consistent message that a lot of these decisions could go either way. And this is how we got here. But it really could have gone either way. Here's the head coach thinking Dawson Knox was maybe not going to come back. So were those negotiations a little more contentious than we think? They got him back. Connor McGovern was almost gone.
Right, hadn't talked to the GM since the end of the season.
And then the quarterback gets involved and makes a phone call on both sides and kind of bridges the gap. So how so many of their moves seem to be very close to being other moves. Just an observation.
Right.
They like to kind of point that out. And that's the draft too, is it not? The draft is
definitely
all the time.
Draft.
Like why you go up a couple of picks, because I don't think we were going to get this player, whether it's the Kincaid pick or if it's, it's just so many moves are so close to being another move, and I feel like I want to appreciate that that's probably very true of most teams, but I don't know how often other teams are willing to tell you that.
Does it serve them well to be telling people this often that they are in on the big moves and not getting it done? Because part of me thinks, I don't think you want to tell people that over and over and over. We tried on this guy, didn't happen. We tried on this guy, didn't happen. We tried on this guy, didn't happen. Especially when they're all like the good players, like top players.
Right.
Like it's Waddle and it's Max Crosby and it's Hendrickson, and there are examples in the past that they've talked about. I think was there a McCaffrey story at one point? Maybe that was just that they called.
Maybe
not that
they were linked to running backs all the time until Cook's breakout.
But the other part of me thinks maybe that is good for you, that it's better for you than the alternative, which is people thinking that you're not even trying on these things. Like, you want them to get the job done and get the deals done on top players, but not telling anybody that you were even in on it. Well, then I'd think of, like, well, that's what Kevin Adams did, right?
Yeah.
And what was the reputation there? Well, you're not even trying anymore to get these
Kevin
players.
Adams was.
And that's not a good look either,
Right,
if people think you're not even making the call and making an attempt.
Yeah. Ready for a 1-minute hot take?
On replacement refs?
Yeah. Adam Schefter. The NFL's laying groundwork for hiring replacement officials this season that the league's unable to agree on a new CBA with the NFL Referees Association. My take. You will notice, but if you just put the new replacement refs in for the current refs, you wouldn't notice. I think the replacement ref story was one of the biggest absolute perception-based lies. Oh, they're so terrible. They're so terrible. And then they got replaced, and what happened? Everybody hates the refs anyway. Doesn't matter. You wouldn't know the difference. They could use replacement refs every other week, and you would not know the difference. That's my hot take. What do people think about the refs in the Denver game? How could they get that call wrong? If that was a replacement ref, it'd be like,
But I'm getting that 5 times more.
Are you?
The last time it seemed to be that.
Seemed?
If I'm just getting that more often.
Are you getting a bad call? Those never happen.
The one thing I did see pointed out that you might not like is the last time the replacement refs, the average delays in a game was way higher.
Okay, that's terrible.
Because they're trying to figure out mechanics of things that we're not even.
That's bad.
Yeah.
I take it all back. Secretly replace the refs. No one would know. JJ Zachariason on the rookie class in Dynasty Fantasy Football. A little bit there. Coming up here.
Today, we're secretly replacing the Cantata's freshly ground coffee with mountain-grown Folgers crystals. Will it be rich enough?
It has
San Jose taking on the Sharks. Puck drop set for 10 o'clock. Per our own Paul Hamilton, the Sabres did not practice in San Jose yesterday, so we'll find out more on how Tuck is feeling at the morning skate coming up in a little bit as he's been dealing with an illness. Former Bills defensive end A.J. Epinesa is signing a one-year deal worth up to $5 million with the Cleveland Browns. And around the NFL, ESPN's Kevin Seifert reports that the NFL is laying groundwork for hiring replacement officials for the 2026 season. The Colts signed wide receiver Nick Westbrook-Akeen, formerly of the Dolphins, and the Eagles acquired quarterback Andy Dalton, formerly of the Panthers, in exchange for a 7th-round pick. The NCAA tournament officially gets underway today and around the country, but in Buffalo, all with estimated start times, number 6 seed Louisville takes on the 11 seed South Florida around 1:30. Number 3 seed Michigan State takes on number 14 seed North Dakota State around 4:05, and then session 2 begins with 1 seed Michigan taking on 16 seed Howard at 7:10, and 8 seed Georgia takes on 9 seed St. Louis around 9:45. Join Chopin Bulldog live at Seneca Buffalo Creek Casino on March 19th today from 3 to 7, just steps from the KeyBank Center. Feel the tournament energy in the perfect location for before, after, or during the games. Score food and drink specials, big wins, and more from Seneca Buffalo Creek. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Joe Kelly on Western New York's Voice of the Fans, WGR.
Draw couldn't have worked out better. I mean, look, we're excited to host it. There's so many good things going on right now. I said it was a sports renaissance in Buffalo, and it really feels like that. This is as big as it gets from a sporting event standpoint, so it's a real special time.
Tournament time in the NCAA, and we've got 4 games today at KeyBank Center here in Buffalo. Jeremy and Joe, good morning. We're going to go to the Western Hotline for a conversation about fantasy football and a small rabbit hole, JJ, if you'll allow us. JJ Zachariason of Late Round Fantasy Football. JJ, good morning. It's Jeremy and Joe. How are you today?
I'm great, guys. Thanks for having me on.
I see you're a Pitt alum. So I said to Joe in the break, I'm like, that means he's going to be able to remember some guys in the tournament. And I went all the way. I don't know how old you are, JJ, if you're a little younger than me, but I remember Sean Miller as a player at Pitt. So that's a long time ago, but, you know, Pitt basketball, it's had some runs. I'm a Syracuse guy, so I hate Pitt, respectfully. But, you know, this time of year, do you think about the tournament at all or think about Pitt players over the years?
Yeah, I mean, look, I was at Pitt at the peak when they were the 1 seed consistently, the DeJuan Blair, Levance Field, Sam Young years, right? So I was there when Pitt basketball was was just as good as Syracuse basketball back then, right? That was when the rivalry was at its peak, and it was amazing. I wish Pitt basketball was that good these days. But,
I wish, and I wish Syracuse basketball was that good too. Yeah,
you guys are still as good as each other.
That's right.
Yeah, that's true.
We're still in the same boat. Well, LateRound.com, Late Round Fantasy Football for JJ. We're going to talk with him about his prospect guide because we're getting into dynasty season and. I don't know, JJ. When you talk about fantasy, there's lots of different angles for it, of course. But I find that the conversations I have most, like my group chats, my buddies, are the dynasty leagues and the draft picks and the trading of draft picks. Like this is to me the most exciting time. I know the games are cool, but Carnell Tate, Jordan Tyson, Fernando Mendoza. Like to me, this is the really exciting time for fantasy football, even though you're only thinking about drafting players.
Yeah, look, this is the time for the diehards, right? The dynasty leagues are becoming bigger and bigger as the game kind of has matured. A lot of people 10, 15 years ago started playing. They were playing in their office league or what have you, home league, and that was more redraft focused and season-long focused, and people just couldn't get enough. So they've focused more on the dynasty game, and from there, I've created a lot more content. It's forced me to do a lot more content. I obviously love it as a diehard myself, but I've built models and started to do more and more with the dynasty game over the last decade. And you're right. I mean, it's something that I think people enjoy that game even more than the season-long one.
And tell us about the model. Like you've got a model for receivers, for running backs, for tight ends. One of your hits a few years ago was loving, and Bills fans can respect this, loving Khalil Shakir and what he could bring to this team.
Yeah. So the model looks at collegiate production, and essentially it takes a lot of different inputs, and it says, okay, I'm going to try to measure how well these players perform over the first 3 years of their NFL careers from a fantasy perspective. I measure against what I call B2S, which is the best 2 seasons in PPR point per game averages over their first 3 years. And it just takes a bunch of inputs. Running back has different inputs, wide receiver has different inputs. I think a lot of people hear analytical model for this kind of thing, and they think that, oh, this is all athleticism driven or NFL combine driven. I really don't care that much about the combine aside from getting a standardized way of getting height and weight measurements for these guys, right? Like a lot of the testing, there's actually an inverse correlation with top 100 wide receiver picks and how fast they run. So in other words, the faster they run, the higher their draft capital gets, and then the higher chance there is for them to bust and not live up to that expectation. So there's a lot of those metrics that I think people believe the model is based off of. But really, the bottom line is if a player is productive in the NFL, a wide receiver, a running back, or a tight end, generally speaking, all of those players were productive at some level in college. Doesn't mean that all collegiate productive players become productive in the NFL, but guys who were productive in the NFL were almost always productive in college. And what the model does is that it looks at some of these metrics that help predict that future and help predict who's going to be good from a fantasy perspective. And honestly, there's a correlation, obviously. If someone's good in fantasy, they're probably good in real life as well.
Right. I'm trying to think of guys that really, like, who really is a top of the league position or at that position that didn't go off in college. Like, this was kind of a Brian Thomas conversation, wasn't it? When he was in the draft, like the yards per route run numbers and whatnot. But even him, like, you could look at him a couple years later and say, well, yeah, that's not going as well as maybe Jacksonville would want it to be.
Yeah, there's definitely some examples. Tyreek Hill is one if you want to go way back. I mean, he's someone who had some weird off-the-field stuff, and that's part of the reason. But he's also, kind of a gadgety player in college, so it's not the easiest kind of one-to-one. One that really pops out is Terry McLaurin, actually. He had no like a lot of the production metrics that the model looks at, they're all age-adjusted. So, generally speaking, if a player is very productive right away in college, that's telling that he's very talented at the position, and that sort of follows him all the way to the NFL. Terry McLaurin had horrible age-adjusted production at Ohio State. He was someone that the model just missed, just in general, but that's another player. But yeah, generally speaking, even like a Brian Thomas, yeah, his first couple of years in college were not very strong, but he did at least have that peak, that final year where, a model can still look at that and say, okay, he didn't have the most amazing age-adjusted production, but he was a little bit younger coming out, and then he had that season. He played with Malik Neighbors. You can kind of factor all that in and say, this isn't that bad of a profile versus what that career yards per route run might say.
JG Zachariason with us on the Western Hotline. So on this year's group of prospects, your model looks really favorably upon Jordan Tyson. I guess just how favorably, especially compared to guys in previous years, let alone this class.
Yeah, I think that when you look at this wide receiver class in general, there are some really good wide receivers. I think Jordan Tyson is analytically very, very strong. But I do think that some of them might be inflated from a draft capital perspective. There are more red flags in some of their profiles versus, someone like Malik Neighbors coming out a couple of years ago who had honestly one of the more flawless, like, analytical profiles that I've ever seen. The model really likes Jordan Tyson. There's definitely reasons for that. I mean, he did play 4 collegiate seasons, and generally speaking, 4 first-round wide receivers. He's supposed to go in the first round at least. He is dropping a little bit. But for first-round wide receivers, you want early declare status because that's, again, another talent signal, that they're leaving college early because they're good enough to leave college early, and that tells you that they're good and that they have a higher chance to hit in the NFL. He's not an early declare wide receiver. However, all the metrics that I work with are age-adjusted, and he is younger. And he had an unbelievably effective production profile in college when you look at it, because all the metrics that I look at are within what we refer to as market share, right? So they're how well do these players perform within the environment that they're given. And Jordan Tyson, his 3rd season in college was the best of any player this year coming out at wide receiver by far. And that age-adjusted profile really makes him look great within the model. And there's a metric in the model called breakout score, and his breakout score, it's age-adjusted and schedule-adjusted receiving yards per team pass attempt. That's what the metric really looks at. So it's adjusted by age, adjusted by how good the program is and the schedule they faced. And Jordan Tyson has a breakout score in the 95th percentile, and first-round wide receivers who are in that 90th or higher percentile range generally hit at a very high rate. So right now, from a model perspective, he separated himself as sort of like the wide receiver one in this class. But I know that there's more like subjective, non-model related things like the injury stuff with him that's pushing him down. So from my perspective as an analyst, I can look at that more subjectively and be like, okay, the model really likes Jordan Tyson. I might bring that down just a little bit just because I know there are these other factors at play.
LateRound.com, Late Round Fantasy Football. JJ, when you talk about Tyson, like I also think, you're talking about, there's film, there's numbers, there's metrics. I feel like one thing that you could kind of bake into, as you say, the other stuff are expectations. I'm thinking about Luther Burden last year, where like Burden the year before was thought to be, this guy's definitely going to be the number one receiver taken. And then if you have a little bit of a down year, and this might be Tyson here, all of a sudden you're drifting in the draft. And in fantasy football, like I feel like everything you're lining up here is, no, you already saw the talent one time. Don't get faked out by a year that didn't meet these crazy high expectations because he's already put it out on the field what he can do.
Yeah, it's a really, really good point because I think a lot of people, and naturally, this is just human nature, you want to see natural progression, right? You want to see, like Elijah Surratt from this class, he got better every single year of his 4 years in college. I mean, he started as a zero-star recruit and ended up winning the national title with Indiana as one of their main pieces in that offense. But the one thing that I have found through doing research with all of this is that having that peak season, especially over the first 3 years of a player's career. Now, you can look at a player like Bryce Lance in this year's class who did absolutely nothing for the first 3 years of his collegiate career, played at a smaller program, didn't do anything until his fourth and fifth season. That's a bit of a red flag because it happened so late. But if in the first 3 years you see that peak, generally that's really, really big for that transition into the NFL. Now, we've seen that, you mentioned, Jordan Tyson kind of had that. Luther Burden had that last year. Jackson Smith and Jigba, it was sort of like that. Juju Smith-Schuster, I know that his career kind of dwindled, but we got the first, 3 or 4 years of his career. He was looking really great. You had those peaks, and those peaks are far more important, than that obvious, trajectory and progression. And not only that, but like Jordan Tyson, it's not like he was terrible last year. Same thing with Luther Burden. It wasn't like it was so bad that final year where you're like, this is a clear outlier, during their sophomore or junior seasons. So yes, it's something that we can consider, but it's not as big of a deal, at least from the stuff that I've looked at.
Late Round Fantasy Football, the podcast, lateround.com. Jay, before we let you go, just zooming out from the prospect guide, how about DJ Moore to the Bills? Your reaction, your instant reaction to some of these other moves? DJ Moore, Jalen Waddle, we've seen some receiver movement, which we always do. Any thoughts on how that might work?
Yeah, I think that the DJ Moore move made a lot of sense just from if you remove the cost and all of that and you just look at the fit. They've needed a player who can at least play the perimeter, be able to play on the outside and do work on the outside. Because obviously, Shakir, who we mentioned at the top, pure slot. I think Keon Coleman actually would work better as a big slot, in the NFL as opposed to being an outside guy. So they at least get a player who can move inside out and DJ Moore. And this draft class, for the Bills in particular, it has a lot of perimeter, bigger bodied wide receivers that hopefully the Bills kind of go after and at least take a chance on, maybe on day 2 or something, just to be able to develop somebody that can play on the outside and get down the field for them to open things up a little bit. So I like the move from a fantasy perspective for DJ Moore, and from a real life perspective, I think that there's a good chance that he sees lots of volume, and that's obviously what we're chasing in fantasy. And then, the Jalen Waddle thing, I've seen some takes out there that the wide receiver room is crowded in Denver and that they're worried about Jalen Waddle going there because of that, from a fantasy perspective. From my end, though, he's a very, very good player, and very, very good players create their opportunity. Targets are earned in the NFL. Target share is earned, and Jalen Waddle is a tier above anyone else that they have on that team. Jalen Waddle has hit a 2.19 yards per route run rate in 3 of his 5 seasons in the NFL. Anything over 2 is considered very, very good. Cortland Sutton has been over 2 just once, and he hasn't done it since 2019. So he's not really on the same level in terms of just general skill set as Waddle. And Cortland Sutton, obviously, he's going to be 31 this upcoming season. So I think Waddle going to Denver, again, a big, big win for them in general. And it's a big win in fantasy football, I think, because Denver last year was top 5 in the league in pass attempts.
Very good. You can get the prospect guide at lateround.com. He's got the adjusted model, all the good stuff, all the data, one of the best in the business. Love the podcast, love the content, and Love the East Coast dad stuff. I told you, JJ, I got one of your sweatshirts a long time ago. I'm an East Coast dad. We've got a hockey team playing at 10 o'clock tonight, so pray for us,
Yeah, good luck with that.
We'll try to get through. Thanks, JJ.
Thanks, guys.
You can go to lateround.com, Late Round Fantasy Football, and the Late Round Prospect Guide. The problem, see, Joe, the tough part about this job is, he has Jordan Tyson as an elite producer, and I want to get him on and talk about it. But I don't want anybody in my league to hear that because I want to get Jordan Tyson in my dynasty draft with the 5th pick. And if they keep hearing
you could just set up smoke screens if you want.
That's right.
Just talk about how much you love Denzel Boston for the next month.
True.
Even if you don't believe it at all. Smoke screen
season.
I mean, the dynasty drafts are usually right. Well, it depends. Some leagues are right after the draft.
We do ours in. Well, I do. I've got a couple.
I've got one in June. I've got one in May.
You've got one with me in June. I've got one in probably July and one in probably August. So
this year, and he kind of alludes to this in his guide, by the way. This is the fantasy point, not a Bills point, because the Bills are not looking at running backs at all. This is a one running back draft class. It is Jeremiah Love. He might go in the top 5. And then there is just nobody else that seems to be that interesting until maybe you might have a running back in the top 5 and then not another one until the 3rd round, if not even beyond that.
Yeah.
His backup, Jeremiah Love's backup at Notre Dame,
Jadarian Price.
He might be the second guy that goes.
He might go in the 1st. I've seen him go late 1st in some mocks.
Really?
Yeah.
That seems nuts.
I've seen him late 1st.
I mean, he didn't really play that much at college.
I know.
It's all a projection of, well, he is good, we just didn't see it because Love was in front of him. You take a guy like that in the 1st round. That's a risky. I mean, he had, in his career, in 3 years, only had 1,600 yards. He never had more than 120 carries in a season.
Yeah.
That'd be a who's done that's like Lendell White, isn't it? He got drafted high.
He did.
Off
USC
behind Reggie Bush.
Yeah. 2nd round, I think, Lendell White.
Okay.
So, anyway, 803-0550 if you want to join us in 1-888-550-2550. Jeremy and Joe. Tournament day. Sabres tonight.
Sabres after dark.
Sabres after dark.
Last time this year.
Yep, well, Sunday. This trip is the last one.
8 o'clock.
That's dark.
Is it?
It's not. Sure, it's not.
It might not be dark here. 8 o'clock on Sunday in March.
Yeah, you know what? You're right.
I think
and
to call it after dark, it literally has to be dark outside.
True. And Saturday is a 4 o'clock, right?
Saturday's at 4.
Okay. So
yeah, 8's not getting after dark.
You're right. 8's fine.
9 is maybe we're talking.
It is Sunday at 8 o'clock, which day adjusted is like Saturday at 10. Sunday at 8. That's like that's a weeknight game that's late. You tell me a game is at 8 o'clock on Saturday versus 8 o'clock on Wednesday. Those are not the same, finger quotes, time.
But I'm still not calling an 8 o'clock game on a Wednesday. Sabres after dark.
Fair.
They do play an 8:30 game, the second to last game of the year in Chicago. That doesn't count either, though. 10 o'clock tonight, San Jose. Go get the 1 seed. They might get the 1 seed before the Bills get the 1 seed. 2 points back, Carolina.
2 points back. We got to get a Carolina guest.
You don't get a banner for winning the conference. I don't believe not like in the regular season. You could, but you would be laughed at if you put a banner up that said, "What, regular season Eastern Conference champions?" Maybe someone's even done that before and been mocked for it. You can't do that. So it's not like there's a difference in how many banners you get if you get the 1 seed.
803-0550. 1-888-550-2550. Couple broadcasts today. Sal's going to be live at Hartman's from 10 to 12. Hartman's Distillery, downtown by the arena. So you can go say hi pre-tournament.
Good spot. That's like a 15-minute walk maybe to the arena. Not bad.
Yep. So you can pop down there. And then Chopin Bulldog are going to be on location as well today. They're going to be broadcasting live from Seneca Buffalo Creek Casino.
Right. Yep. That's an even shorter walk to the arena if you want to go there first.
5 minutes here. How long are we going to argue about DJ Moore and how good he is?
Not forever.
He's on the team.
But certainly until we see him.
I'm glad he's on the team. I'm very glad he's on the team. They needed to do something like this. But I like the conversation, like, do you feel better about it given what happened in the receiver market? Yesterday, Waddle's trade and what Waddle went for. Like, Waddle's better.
Waddle's better.
Waddle's a better player.
And younger.
A lot? You don't have to agree with a lot. Waddle had whatever. He'd been with Tua, who we all think also stinks. Like, Waddle's better. I don't even have to work that hard to suggest that the Bills think Waddle is better. They were prepared to give a first for Waddle, and they gave a second for more. Waddle's contract is better. None of this has to mean we're all mad and the Bills are doomed. You know, like, I feel like sometimes if you just point out, like, wow, I don't think the Bills got great value there. Oh, so you're predicting 3-14? Like, no. I just feel like, you know, they probably overpaid for a receiver that we hope can. But my fear is that he's Amari Cooper, which when that move was made, it was, oh, this is good. This guy can still play. He's an older guy. Now, not every receiver is going to go away as quickly as Amari Cooper did. That's my fear. Right. That's not. Would that be my prediction? No. But Waddle's younger, less time in the league. He's better. The best case for him being better is that he cost more.
And beyond that, too, I mean, really, even if you just stack up the players separate from the cost, I would look at DJ Moore and say, the bet I'm making is that he still has what he had before, which was what he had in Carolina under his first year with Joe Brady, what he had in his first year in Chicago. Like, that is what I'm aspiring for, what I've already seen from him.
Which is
because of the age and because of he's had the role.
A long time ago.
Yeah, right. And
that is not, listen.
But that's the difference for Waddle. Waddle, for me, if the Bills had traded for him, and this would be my approach if I'm Denver, I'm not just making a bet on, well, he can be what he was in Miami. No, what I'm hoping for is he was never the focal point in Miami.
Can I read you what?
Tyreek Hill was the number one receiver, and Waddle had to settle for being a second option, and still a productive one, but a second option in an offense. He has not been the number one target, the number one option in an offense since his rookie season.
And when he did that, he set the rookie NFL record for receptions in a season.
Right. So my bet on
Waddle, he caught 104
Waddle,
passes.
My bet on Waddle would be that not just because this is DJ Moore. DJ Moore, you're hoping he could be what he was. Waddle, I have a hope that he is going to be something beyond what he's been.
Yeah. Can I read you Matt Harmon, reception perception? I had someone write to me, basically, let me get this tweet for you. Ben writes in about this because, you know, in evaluating what the Bills paid, he's like, why do you think Waddle's better? The stats say this. And like, well, I outsource I don't outsource it, I do it myself too, but Matt Harmon, reception perception, you have to subscribe to this website. His entire job, all he does is chart receivers, independent of their quarterback. On film, do they win? Do they beat man? Do they beat press? Do they beat zone? What are their skills? What routes do they run? What routes do they run well? What routes should they run more often? What routes should they stop running? All this. And just on percentile, like, okay, last season, the percentile of winning on the line, beating press, beating man, DJ Moore is 40th percentile against man and reception perception. Waddle is 77th. Moore is 35th against zone. Waddle is 74th. And against press, Moore is 45th percentile. And Waddle is 81st. Like, I just think Waddle is a better player, and I don't even think it should be controversial because the Bills were going to pay more for him. Now, you could 100% make the case, I didn't need to pay that. I got a good enough guy to unlock. And I think that is very possible. Like I said, like when they made the trade, before they made the trade, the guy was going to have to be talked into a little bit would have been DJ Moore. They trade for DJ Moore. Like, okay, I'll spend, the offseason watching how they build out the rest of this. I'm ready for them to draft the defensive end in the 26th spot. I'm telling you, receivers off the board for me. It's not for me. But I'm not considering it for them because I don't think they will. I'm happy DJ Moore's on the team. Would I be happier if it's Waddle? Probably. A first rounder for Waddle seems not crazy to me. Every time we do this, I tell you, oh, wow, Romeo Doubs, can you believe that? What, $17 million? I can believe that.
Mm-hmm.
That's modest wide receiver 2 money for Romeo Doubs. I don't think that's crazy. Alec Pierce got big money. Is that right
one's
for
a
him?
little closer to like, oh, that's a little scary.
Sure, that's scary. Mike Evans got 1 year, 14. I don't think that's crazy.
That's the one.
I don't think any of it's crazy. It feels like every wide receiver trade now, we got to argue about who's better, who's this, who's that. Like, Moore has won 1,000-yard season in the last 4 years. Could he have more? Of course he could have more. I don't just want to Google the stats and put them side by side and be like, well, this guy had 835 yards, this guy had 627, so that guy's better. Like, that's not how it works. One stat I saw about Waddle, and this is a fantasy point like that JJ would make. We just talked to JJ Zachariason of Late Round Fantasy. The Dolphins ran the fewest plays in the league.
When, last year?
Yeah.
Yeah, because they were really slow.
They ran the fewest plays.
They were very slow paced.
Denver ran a lot of plays.
Mm-hmm.
They're much more
Yeah, Bo Nix led the league in pass attempts.
It's, forget Waddle, forget Moore. Anybody screenshotting a statistics page and posting it, go ahead and see how many quarterbacks had more passing yards than Josh Allen. Are they all better than him? Of course not. The Bills like to slow play. They like to run the ball. They're going for efficiency. But if I go passing yards 2025, you might not even believe some of the guys that finished ahead of Allen in throwing the football. Right? Like, Allen finished 11th. Bo Nix threw for more yards. Is he better? Of course not.
No.
Bo Nix threw the ball a lot.
200 more times?
150.
Yeah, right.
150 more times.
Right.
So, it's just to say I'm fine with the player. I'm fine with the move. But if you're just asking me, do I feel better about the value based on the market? No, I feel the same. I thought the day was going to happen that it shouldn't have been a second-round pick, and it probably shouldn't have been a second. But they did it, and, life goes on. But no, I don't find myself working to feel better about it. Is that okay? Can we just kind of all...
Yeah, not from the moves that have been made.
Yeah. And if you make a
but
bad...
the Waddle trade hasn't made me feel worse either.
No.
Because it was still expensive enough that... this was Evans for me. Evans signed for $14 million, and it was like, oh... That couldn't have been me. I loved
Maybe
that
not.
idea.
Maybe you found out it couldn't have been you.
Right. But Waddle going for a first and a third, I'd have to talk myself into that's a better idea. I think I would get there. You mentioned, don't just look at yards. Look at, the opportunity. They actually have, I saw that Waddle, since he entered the NFL, you know where he ranks in receiving yards? Just straight up receiving yards?
Waddle?
Yeah. He ranks 11th in the NFL. It's really high. You know who's 10th? DJ Moore. But you know the difference? DJ Moore has 100 more targets for the same amount of receiving. You got to look at all of it. And when you look at all of it, you get to, Waddle's a better player. Moore is still a good player, but Waddle is a better player.
And again, neither one of them is Jefferson.
No, that's
Lamb.
Right. Well, that is where I would be open to, can Waddle have another gear? Because he's never been asked to be that guy because he was always a number 2.
To wrap this up,
I would be open to that.
Yeah, to wrap this up, Matt Harmon, reception perception. Again, he's the guy on receivers. His take on Moore was good move, this could work. I want to believe there's still more in there, that this could work out really well. It's I want to believe. On Waddle, what he writes is, never been a number 1 receiver. It's not a perfect comparable, and I had a higher view of Diggs when he was with the Vikings, but Waddle from 2017 to 2019 in Miami, there are similarities to that trade, which helped launch Diggs into a new production tier in his 6th season. So you have the guy, again, that I trust as the best doing this, saying the Waddle trade reminds me of the Diggs trade. Then in his 6th year,
Diggs trade.
Yeah, the first one. In his 6th year, he could take it off to another level. And with Moore, it's just a little different. You're hoping it gets back to a level that he hasn't seen in a couple years. 2 years ago, he had a really good year, 1,300 yards. I think Moore's explosive and is going to have a couple games that he absolutely dominates and takes over, and we're going to party. Clip that part, Owen. Instead of people always dunking on me for hating things, I think he's going to have some dominant games. And we'll be at the parade hugging second round pick, who cares? Just win. All right. Tournament day. 803-0550 if you want to chime in on anything here on WGR.
Do you feel like they can win it all? Are you at that point?
I think so. I think, the NHL is probably as ripe for any sports league in terms of the favorites not pushing through in the playoffs. I think it's just more difficult. Like the 6 beating the 3 or the 7 beating the 2, or I know the seedings in the NHL is a little jacked up because of how they do it, which is silly. But yes, the favorites, it's harder for the favorites to go through like it might be in other, I guess, playoff formats in other sports. However, with that being said, somebody has to go through. And if you sit there and say, okay, well, who are the teams that you would put your money on to do it? I mean, how is Buffalo not in that conversation? They've played the best teams very well. They've played Tampa very well. Even Carolina, a team that forever has given them struggles. Even this year, they've played them tight. Even in one of their losses, a 2-1 loss, it was a very, very tight game, which I thought maybe they were even the better team, and they got goalied in that game. Even a team like Colorado that looks, impossible earlier in the season when they were like 31-2 and 7 or something like that. Like, they have come back a little. They're still playing great, but they've played Dallas great. They've played Minnesota great. I mean, just, thinking of the best teams in the NHL. So why not have it be Buffalo? I mean, somebody's got to come through. This team has not lost 2 in a row in forever. So they've just figured out ways to be able to play against these best teams. They're playing third period so smartly. That's one thing that's been obvious over this trend. They know how to play with a lead. They know how to handle even just a 1-goal edge, the ability to handle pressure. I love what Beck Malenstein said. It was after a game a few weeks ago. A reporter from out of town said, hey, we're seeing you guys for the first time. Like, what has been the big reason? And he said it was a twofold answer. He said, defensively, we know how to make decisions and how to handle the pressure so much better than we have in the past. And he says it's everybody. And then he said on the other side, on the offensive side, he said our willingness to be at the net, around the net, and win battles to be in position to score goals, he said, has been a big thing. And he says everybody's gotten on board with that. And I think that's been evident when we've been watching these games. They've been getting great goaltending too, for sure. But I think overall, some of those things that Malenstein said, I think, has been on display for sure. And it's been obviously adding up in the standings.
If you were to do the Family Feud style, name a Cinderella.
Oh.
Top 5 answers on the board. Name a Cinderella, like, that took a run. The number one answer, I think, is easy.
Loyola Chicago.
Oh, no. Okay.
Oh, George Mason.
I think George Mason is the most They made the Final Four, right?
Yeah, but I think so did Loyola Chicago,
Okay.
and that was more recent, which is why that came to my mind.
I think George Mason.
Those are probably the top 2, though.
Yeah.
Because they made it the furthest. What was George Mason as a seed? Were they an 11?
I think they were an 11.
That's what Loyola Chicago was.
And
Sister Jean. Florida Gulf Coast comes to mind for me. They were a 15 seed that won twice.
They were Dunk U. What were they?
Dunk City.
Dunk City. City.
The dunks they pulled out were unbelievable. They were, I think they beat who was the 2 they beat? Maybe Georgetown was a 2 the year they beat them.
What did Dunk City beat?
I think it was Georgetown. And they were throwing alley-oops in the second half against Georgetown. It's like, are they going to do this? Are they going to do alley-oop?
Yeah, it was Georgetown.
Oh, Florida Gulf Coast. That was a riot.
The 7th.
That might be my favorite one because they were just dunking all over your face as they were upsetting you.
This was 13 years ago.
Wow, that's.
You feel old for the first time in your life.
I might feel old for the first time in my life. That was 13 years ago?
13 years ago, yeah.
Jeez.
Dunk City beats Georgetown.
And also, Kevin Harlan is on the call of that game, and Kevin Harlan made it so good.
If there's anything you want in life.
I think he shouted, "Look out below," after one of the dunks, and it was awesome.
Kevin Harlan with a basketball game that features a ton of dunks is a match made in heaven.
Yeah. Oh, it was great.
With no regard for human life. Hey, get ready to tee off without breaking the bank. The WGR VIP golf card gets you 8 amazing golf experiences valued at $320. But you can grab it now for just $129. That's 60% off. A portion of proceeds benefits PGA Hope. Get all the details in your card today at getmyperks.com. We'll go to Pete in South Buffalo. Pete, good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. How's it going?
Good.
Hey, first of all, Jeremy, let's party, man. I really love the DJ Moore trade, so I'm with you on that. So let's do it. But I wanted to get your guys' thoughts. A lot of talk about Waddle, but also Tyreek Hill. Just wanted to kind of get your thoughts on Tyreek Hill and some of the money that the Buffalo Bills have freed up. And I don't know if that might be a good spot for us to have him moving around in the backfield. Of course, as long as he stays healthy. I thought I'd get your thoughts on that.
Thanks, Pete. I don't think they have a single dollar for another receiver that's not a draft pick.
And I'd hope they don't have a single dollar for Tyreek Hill specifically. He's not worth it at all anymore. Like, if he stays healthy, his leg was in 2 the last time we saw him on the field.
That's true.
So, like, I don't know. Nobody can tell you that he's going to stay healthy when he comes back or how fast he is anymore, which was his whole game. Is he still the fastest guy in the league? Probably not. And it's going to come with all the legal stuff on top of it, all the locker room headaches, everything. And for him, it's all real. Sometimes I think receiver stuff, it gets exaggerated. With Tyreek Hill, it's all totally real, and there's so much of it. Yeah, I would have no interest at all. I don't think he'll go for much. I saw his agent yesterday was talking about how he's just looking to sign with a contender and maybe on like a prove-it deal. I mean, he probably just ends up back in Kansas City, doesn't he? For like a 1-year deal for not much money. I don't think that happens here. And I don't think I would want it to happen here.
They don't have a dollar for another receiver.
Well, they're going to pay someone $2 million to be a 5th guy.
Mecole Hardman.
Right.
At one point.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
But that might be his market.
I would just be stunned for another receiver that's not like Gabe Davis is back. Like the guys that are out there, MVS, like there's no money in the banana stand, as they say. There's always money in the banana stand. There's no money for receiver left. Moore, Shakir, Palmer are contracts. And Coleman's here. And if they want another one, they're going to draft one, maybe 4th, 5th round. You can try to convince me the first, but there's just no money for a receiver.
Well, that's what I mean about like Hill. He might be down in that range now. Like, right? Is anyone going to give him anything that's more than that? He's got all the off-field problems with now an injury problem and locker room problems. Someone's going to give him more than the guy that you're talking about? I think that's probably Hill's market. Someone's going to give him what, $15 million?
Mm-hmm.
Man, I would be...
even 7. The Bills can't pay 7.
Like Odell Beckham's last contract was 1 year, $3 million. That's what I'm thinking. Like up to 5. The Elijah Moore contract last year. Either way, even if it is that, I still don't want the Bills to be in on that.
Yep. 803-0550, 1-888-550-2550. If in fact you'd like to join us, you can. Jeremy and Joe here on WGR. It's tournament day. There are like a bunch of tournament days. Sal Capaccio will be broadcasting live from Hartman's Distilling. We're going to check in with him shortly. The 10 to 12 show at Hartman's, and then the afternoon show at Seneca Buffalo Creek Casino. And all spots in between. When do the Sabres come home? Who do they play?
They have a homestand after this road trip ends. After Sunday.
They play Seattle soon. They play the Islanders kind of soon.
Yes, they are 5-game homestand, Boston, Detroit, Seattle, New York. So 4 in a row, starting on Wednesday.
Good. All right, we'll check in with Sal in a minute. 803-0550 and 1-888-550-2550. What else have I not been able to get to yet here? There were three Flames goals overturned by successful coaches' challenges in the same game last night.
Is that
3 goals overturned.
Wow.
Yeah.
That happened to I think, Lindy in New Jersey last year or 2 years ago. I don't know if it was 3, though. 3 in the same game. Were they all for the same thing? It also doesn't matter, I guess, because they don't really need to win.
It seems like
maybe they're okay with it.
They're getting hot on the GMs are meeting this week, or they did meet this week, and that came up a lot. Was like goaltender interference. Like everybody was furious.
I see.
I don't know what we could ever do about it, the fact that the NHL is that hockey is held hostage by, I guess, the board of governors, the owners, the GMs, the commissioner, to try to. He made the case that the playoff format is great because of the quality of the first round.
I know.
Which, the best first round in sports, I believe.
Who would have those words ever been uttered?
Not by a smart person.
What? Listen, I have sat in this chair and talked into this microphone for 25 years, and I've never asked the question, which sport has the best first round? And he's out here acting as if it's universally accepted that hockey has the best first round? Maybe they do. Is it because there's a bunch of games and we like
they
hockey?
Probably do. But what is the value of it?
Why do they have the best first round? Is it only because the game is a little bit random and sudden death is cool?
That's what I mean. I don't even think it's the format. I think
it's just the playoffs.
The nature of hockey, the sport, that you do get more parity. You get, the playoff format isn't why Columbus, as an 8 seed, upset the greatest regular season team we've ever seen in the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Right.
The format had nothing to do with that. That is just the sport.
Yeah,
your sport has it. It's not you deciding that the 2 and the 3 are going to play each other.
Right. It makes no sense for him to be taking pride in the fact that he's going to have 2 of the 3 best teams in the league out of the playoffs in the first round. It's insane. Like the West is there's going to be 2 superpower teams that are going to be done within a week. It's so stupid.
He sees it as a point of bragging that, Dallas is the second best team in the NHL. Minnesota is the 5th best team in the NHL. They're going to play in round 1. Right. And Colorado, by the way, is number 1. You are guaranteeing that 2 of the top 5 teams in hockey will be done by round 2.
Right.
Because they have to play each other.
Because you do that and on purpose and claim it's a good idea.
It's so
Colorado and Dallas, your best 2 teams in the league. Impossible for both to make the conference finals. That's your format.
Right.
And he looks at that as a positive.
Imagine if the NCAA tournament bracket put all the 1 seeds in one region.
Right.
And they're like, think of how good that region is.
It's weird that you would want to prop up the first, or even want to prop the first round up, feel the need to do it because, again, your sport has that going for it.
Yep.
It's not the NBA where, and I guess the NBA is not even like this anymore either, by the way, the last couple of years, but it used to be like this where, 1 versus 8, 2 versus 7, like chalk. Like that's just every single time. Why even bother? It's going to be a 4-game series, 5-game sweep. Like if you created a format there with that where, okay, now I've got these teams playing each other, like, yeah, your first round could get more entertaining. In hockey, your first round is already entertaining. You don't need to play around with it. But they do. So you're going to have not only that, but you're going to have, like Vegas and Utah could play in the first round. Right now, where do they rank in the NHL in points? 17th and 18th.
First round series.
That could be a first round series.
Great.
It's just the dumbest thing.
803-0550. 1-888-552-550. Jeremy and Joe. Sal Capaccio joining us on the Western Hotline. He's live at Hartman's Distillery. Hartman's Distilling. He'll be there from 10 to 12 here for the Northtown Automotive Extra Point Show. Yes, Sal. Hello.
Hi. How are you guys? Yeah, it's great out here. They're opening at 10 a.m., so I'm kind of first at the bar today, you know what I mean? Coming up here and getting ready for some Bloody Marys early in the morning here.
Nice.
$8 Bloody Marys, $4 drafts, steak sandwich they're making here today. Got a breakfast wrap if you want to come in early. Classic pancake breakfast. We got it all here at Hartman's Distilling. Come on down, 55 Chicago Street. It's less than a 10-minute walk from the arena. Mm-hmm. And guys, this is key. Free parking. They got free parking here.
That's big.
So if you don't want to deal with the, getting in the traffic to the arena, come here, park here, hang out. Got the WGR promotions team here. You can take a shot. We were trying to come up with something. Could we do a shot for a shot? I'm not really sure. That might work today. We could do something like that. But take a shot in our little basketball hoop. You can win a T-shirt and pens and all different things at the table here. Should be a fun day.
You meant a shot like you have a basketball thing there. Okay.
Yeah, we have a little basketball.
I thought you might have meant a different kind of shot. I'm like,
but I'm saying take a shot for a shot, Joe.
Okay,
yes.
I see. Yeah.
If you make it, maybe you get the other kind of shot.
Okay.
If you get my drift.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So we've got a little bit of news. Karen Garigian, I don't know if you know, covers the Patriots for Mass Live Sports, has written up about the Patriots And in here is this line: the Patriots and Eagles are engaged in a staring contest. While the expectation is they'll eventually come to terms on a deal, whether it's in the coming weeks or after June 1, which is preferred by the Eagles for monetary reasons, it's also possible another team will swoop in. So that's a little
regarding
bit,
A.J. Brown?
Yeah, A.J. Brown. That they're in a staring contest, and the understanding is it will happen. It's a matter of when for the timeline or if another team swoops in. So take that for what it's worth.
Go swoop in.
We'll definitely be touching on that today. A.J. Epinesa, speaking of A.J.'s, A.J. Epinesa reportedly signing with the Cleveland Browns, another one gone from the Bills' defense. That came over last night from Adam Schefter. So
I posted,
we'll talk about that.
You see my Twitter poll about Epinesa? It's one of these ones where it's like a total honest question, and I think it can be a fun conversation. Was that a good pick? Yes, no, or maybe? Was Epinesa a good pick? 6 years on the team. He started, played a lot of games. He's a part of your defense. Was A.J. Epinesa a second-round pick, a good pick?
I think you got enough out of a second-round pick to justify it, but he was more near the top, I think, of the second round right now. Maybe not. 19, 20. Where'd they pick? Oh, yeah, 20 because they didn't have their first middle. That's tough. I mean, it's a tough call. I think that people have kind of too high expectations sometimes of what they think that career arc should look like. He played 6 seasons in Buffalo as a second-round pick. I mean, that's pretty nice, but he never was a true starter all the time. He just made some plays. I don't think it was a bad pick. I think you wanted a little bit more from him. I don't think it was a bad pick at the time. When you get 6 years out of a guy, you get at least one contract. That's good, but you get 6 years out of a guy, 24 sacks. I don't think. By the way, he's tied for the all-time lead in Bills franchise history for defensive lineman picks. Did you know that? Tied for the all-time lead.
Yeah, I saw
4
that
picks from a defensive lineman.
I saw he's got 4. He's got one on Mahomes. He's got one on Burrow.
Yeah.
There might have been another big one.
He
on
had
there.
the one last year in Carolina, I think. On
yep.
And almost scored on that one.
He did score a touchdown.
Yeah.
He
He
took
did.
one of them.
That's
back.
right. He did. So we'll talk about that today. I got. I don't know how early Paul's getting up on the West Coast here, but I reached out to him hey, when you wake up, if you want to join me, I'm at Hartman's, and then Brian Koziol is going to join me today as well. We'll either have him in person or on the phone. I know he's going to be at the tournament games. I'm going to be at the tournament games. Guys, I was down there yesterday. I loved it. I'm a big college basketball fan, as I know you are, Jeremy. Joe, I know you've kind of gotten into it more over the years, and you went to the tournament a few years ago, and we had the debate on how terrible basketball it was at the time. Do you remember that, Joe? When you went to the tournament, you're like, oh, my God, these guys
There
are not
was
good.
one game I remember specifically that was the worst. I don't even remember who played, though. I don't remember.
I don't either, but it's all right. And it's a fun time. It was a great vibe inside the building yesterday, and got to catch up with Brian Hodgson. He actually joined me live on the Extra Point Show. He came over to the table, put on the headset. It was great. Got to catch up with him. I did not feel it was appropriate to ask him about Syracuse, Jeremy. I didn't think it was appropriate in that moment. And then got to watch them shoot around, and then Dusty May in Michigan as well.
Yeah. I'm going to boo him, Sal. That's what I'm going to do.
No,
that's
don't
what we
do
do.
that.
Of course, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I know you are. We do root for Brian. And you know what? I'm upset about that situation, and reportedly, turning down Syracuse, but that's not on him. I think that Syracuse needs to step up, and it feels like they just you know what it is, these days, guys? It's not about how much you're paying the guy. It is that, right? The coach.
No, it's NIL. It's how much you're going to pay your players.
How much are you giving to pay people?
Yep,
That's
absolutely.
what it is.
Absolutely. So we got to run. We got to make sure we get to breaks on time so you can get to your show on time. 803-0550 on WGR. Morning. Do we want to sit? I mean, did you do it all day yesterday, arguing whether or not DJ Moore is better than Jalen Waddle?
We did some of that. I think Jalen Waddle is better than DJ Moore.
I don't even think that is really debatable.
I
also don't think that's sure. I would of the two.
I think
wouldn't the Bills also we can just do it this way. The Bills were reportedly going to trade a first for Waddle and it didn't get done. A first.
Yeah, right.
Instead, they trade a net third for Moore. Who do the Bills think is better?
Right.
The Bills probably couldn't get Waddle because he's in the division.
Right.
I know it's the free agency chart we can apply to trades, who'd the Bills get. Well, that's the best guy. I mean, Waddle is a very good pickup for the Broncos. I think it's fantastic for them.
Yeah, I don't think that's the debate of who's the better player. I think it's what's the better trade. Is he so much better than Moore that a second for Moore or a first and a third, if you take away the day 3 picks out of it, is that a better deal, getting more for a second than having to pay a first and a third for Waddle? And
Jeremy,
one thing I pointed out is you have to count the money as well.
You can
the Bills have $30 million more that they will have to pay DJ Moore, than what the Broncos are on the hook for Waddle, just because there's one more year of the contract with more than there is with Waddle. And with Waddle being, I think it's 2 years younger, you don't have as much, I think, of the questions about decline with Moore. So it's a year extra of the contract, all that money, and I'm a little further along in the, well, what does he have left in the tank conversation than I do with Waddle.
It's like a year and a half difference.
Year and a half?
Moore turns 28.
I know. All I saw was that it's 27 versus 29 at the beginning of the year.
Right.
That's right?
Right.
Yeah, okay.
If you want to go age or do you want to go miles on the tires? Waddle came into the league a lot older. Waddle's been in the league 5 years. Moore's been in the league 8 years. So they're only a year and a half in actual age, but in years in the league, they're 3 years apart. So it might feel like DJ Moore's a lot older. Whatever. Moore is going to be 29 in a month. And Waddle turns 28 in November. So
I don't think it's crazy to say I'd rather do the Moore trade because it's only a second, and I don't want to pay a first and a third for Jalen Waddle. But for me, like with the contract added into it, I think the Moore trade is more expensive than, well, it's only a second versus a first and a third. Like the contract for Moore is nuts.
If you were to do the Family Feud style, name a Cinderella.
Oh.
Top 5 answers on the board. Name a Cinderella like that took a run. The number one answer I think is easy.
Loyola Chicago.
Oh, no. Okay.
Oh, George Mason.
I think George Mason is the most they made the Final Four, right?
Yeah, but I think so did Loyola Chicago,
Okay.
and that was more recent, which is why that came to my mind.
I think George Mason.
Those are probably the top 2, though.
Yeah.
Because they made it the furthest. What was George Mason as a seed? Were they an 11?
I think they were an 11.
That's what Loyola Chicago was.
And-
Sister Jean. Florida Gulf Coast comes to mind for me. They were a 15 seed that won twice.
They were Dunk U.
What were they? Dunk City.
Dunk City.
The dunks they pulled out were unbelievable. They were, I think they beat who was the 2 they beat? Maybe Georgetown was a 2 the year they beat them.
What did Dunk City beat?
I think it was Georgetown, and they were throwing alley-oops in the second half against Georgetown. It's like, are they going to do this? Are they going to do alley-oop?
Yeah, it was Georgetown.
Oh, Florida Gulf Coast. That was a riot.
The 7th.
That might be my favorite one because they were just dunking all over your face as they were upsetting you.
This was 13 years ago.
Wow, that's.
You feel old for the first time in your life.
I might feel old for the first time in my life. That was 13 years ago?
13 years ago, yeah.
Jeez.
Dunk City beats Georgetown.
And also, Kevin Harlan is on the call of that game, and Kevin Harlan made it so good.
If there's anything you want
I think he shouted, "Look out below," after one of the dunks, and it was awesome.
Kevin Harlan with a basketball game that features a ton of dunks is a match made in heaven.
Yeah. Oh, it was great.
With no regard for human life. All right, enjoy the tournament today. Game start at the 12 o'clock hour. Sales coming up from Hartman's Distilling from 10 to 12 at the Northtown Automotive Extra Point Show. We're back tomorrow.